Chapter 1386. Araki Takashi, why? Elder Destiny's aura was weak and blood gushed from his mouth continuously. He could not even continue speaking. His organs had already been penetrated by the heaven-slaying sword chi. No matter how vigorous a conjoint body mighty figure's life force was, he would not be able to recover from such severe injuries, and his life force was draining rapidly. The old woman lay on the ground and tried her best to turn around. She glared fiercely at Suzumo with a pair of dead fish eyes. Her essence spirit was destroyed and she died with everlasting grievances. Not long after, Elder Ju Ming also died. Both half-martial ancestors were dead. They had not expected Suzumo to have a trump card. Furthermore, this trump card could kill them the moment it was released. It had to be said that the heaven-slaying sword art was indeed one of the three ancient sword arts with shocking might. Up till this point of his cultivation, the heaven-slaying sword art was almost always successful. Back then, the heaven-slaying sword chi was only neutralized by the Hatred Sutra when he was fighting against Tao Lord Hatred. Most of the time, almost no one of the same cultivation realm could defend against the sharpness of the heaven-slaying sword chi. Of course, the heaven-slaying sword chi was not invincible either. At the very least, Sword Sect had the earth-slaying sword art that was not weaker than the heaven-slaying sword art. If a conjoint body mighty figure who cultivated the earth-slaying sword art were to appear, they would be able to fight against Suzumo. Furthermore, legend has it that there was an even stronger human-slaying sword art above heaven-slaying and earth-slaying. Furthermore, Suzumo knew of at least two monster incarnates who could defend against his attack this time round. One of them was Shura and the other was Monk Daming. While Suzumo's thoughts were running wild, the cultivators in the hall were still in a state of shock just now and could not recover from it for a long time. Fellow Taoist Araki Takashi, you're truly, a long time later, Elder Lan Tian smiled bitterly and hesitated. To think that even he had misjudged. At the same time, he felt relieved. To be honest, there were two reasons why he didn't join forces with the Dongfang and Shimen families. One of them was worried about Suzumo's true body of dragons. Another reason was Suzumo's potential. However, he never imagined that the current Suzumo was enough to make him feel fear. He could imagine that if he'd chosen to join forces with the two clans, then the corpses of quasi-ancestors lying on the ground wouldn't just be two, it would be three. A half-martial ancestor has been killed. I'm afraid that this matter will be very difficult to resolve. Elder Lan Tian sighed softly. With more than 30 conjoint body mighty figures dead and two half-martial ancestors dead, the feud between Suzumo and the two aristocratic families was completely formed. What is it? Suzumo raised his eyebrows and asked. The great ancestors of the two aristocratic families were alarmed. Right now, he was at the conjoint body realm. Even if he could fight against a half-martial ancestor with Qinglian's true body, he would still die without a doubt against a Mahayana patriarch without any chance of winning. I don't think that's the case. Elder Lan Tian was unsure as well. Under normal circumstances, the patriarch won't appear unless the clan is facing a calamity of destruction. Even though that was the case, today's battle had dealt a huge blow to the two aristocratic families. There was a high chance that the patriarch would be alarmed. Suzumo had a calm expression. He would deal with whatever came his way. If the patriarch were to descend, he would just escape at most. Now that he was at the conjoint body realm and had completely grown, it would be extremely difficult for even the patriarch to kill him. Suzumo turned around slowly and his gaze landed on Dongfang Xian and Shimen Tao. Of the more than 30 conjoint body mighty figures, only the two of them were left. Initially, there were still 2 or 3 of them alive. However, just now, they were swept into the storm of the heaven-slaying sword chi and were minced to death. Suzumo looked over and the hearts of the two patriarchs skipped a beat with despair. The two of them were in high spirits before they led the mighty figures on the expedition. Who would have thought that they would encounter such a devastating blow? Fellow Taoist Araki Takashi, please show mercy, Dongfang Xian begged with a miserable expression. If nothing went wrong, he still had more than 10,000 years of lifespan. He did not want to die. Even if he had to throw away his dignity, he had to give it a try. Fellow Taoist Araki Takashi, I'll definitely not be your enemy after I return. Shimantao swore hurriedly as well. Seeing this scene, everyone's hearts were filled with emotions. To think that the patriarchs of the two aristocratic families would end up kneeling before Araki Takashi and wagging their tails pitifully. The scene of two half-martial ancestors being killed was way too shocking. The two patriarchs were scared out of their wits. You guys can leave, Su Zimo had a mocking expression. After you head back, tell the half-martial ancestors of your clans not to provoke me. Today's matter ends here. Yes. The two patriarchs nodded repeatedly. We definitely wouldn't dare. That was the truth. Even if they wanted to take revenge, they would have to consider it carefully. Alternatively, they might as well ask their patriarch to kill Araki Takashi. As though he could read the thoughts of the two patriarchs, Su Zimo continued, if you want to ask your patriarch to come, you have to consider carefully. If I, Araki Takashi, don't die, your two aristocratic families will never have a day of peace in the future. That was a blatant threat. However, the two patriarchs were scared out of their wits and shook their heads hurriedly. Fellow Taoist Araki Takashi, you must be joking. We wouldn't dare. Get lost, Su Zimo said indifferently. When the two patriarchs heard that, they did not dare to linger any longer and turned to leave without turning back, vanishing in the blink of an eye. The reason why Su Zimo let the two of them off was because he needed them to send a message back. Today's matter was over and he would not cause trouble for the two aristocratic families because of this. However, if the two aristocratic families were still unwilling to let it go, he would have nothing to worry about. Fellow Taoist Araki Takashi, you're amazing. Elder Lan Tian nodded slightly and exclaimed in admiration. Why is the Nangong clan here today? Su Zimo turned around and asked. No matter what, the Nangong clan did not join forces with the two aristocratic families, and Nangong Ling was the reason why Su Zimo had a good impression of the Nangong clan. We're also here for the primordial divine spring. Elder Lan Tian said. However, fellow Taoist Araki Takashi, please don't misunderstand. I just want to ask how you're going to deal with this divine spring. This is a treasure of the Baiming family. I won't take it for myself. Su Zimo said indifferently. Elder Lan Tian said, however, if we rely on the current Kidami clan, I'm afraid it'll be difficult to protect this divine spring. Fellow Taoist Araki Takashi, you can't guard this place forever. Su Zimo remained silent. Elder Lan Tian said, I have a suggestion. Our Nangong clan will help the Kidami clan protect this divine spring. During this period of time, our Nangong clan will naturally help the Kidami clan cultivate with all our might. If the Kidami clan is in danger, our Nangong clan will also help with all our might. As for the condition, our Nangong clan would like to share the divine spring as well. Fellow Taoist Araki Takashi and everyone from the Kidami clan, what do you think? Su Zimo said, this is a matter for the Kidami clan. I won't interfere. Actually, this was the best choice for the Kidami clan. Only by joining forces with the Nangong clan could the Kidami clan protect the primordial divine spring. Otherwise, any sect could easily destroy the Kidami clan, let alone the Dongfang and Shimin aristocratic families. Chapter 1387. The leader of the Kidami clan looked at the Kitsune siblings. I'm already old. From now on, the Kidami clan can only rely on the two of you. You can make the decision on this matter. I won't stay in the clan from now on either. Kitsune shook her head gently. My Dao doesn't lie in this. Little brother, you make the decision. Su Zimo was heartened when he heard that. Kitsune cultivated the Wu Dao. Her world was the boundless world of cultivators that contained countless secrets and opportunities, not this tiny Baiming town. If Kitsune stayed in Baiming town to develop her clan, her attainments in the Wu Dao would be limited no matter how talented she was. Sister, I'm still young. Stay and help me. Baiming Ao could not help but say reluctantly. He was only 15 years old after all. It was indeed a little cruel for him to bear the heavy burden of revitalizing his clan. A hint of hesitation flashed through Kitsune's eyes as well. However, she soon made up her mind to leave Baiming town and explore the cultivation world. Today, the Baiming clan was almost annihilated. The reason why they were able to resolve this crisis was because of their master's immense combat strength. No matter how large the clan was or how many clansmen they had, it was inevitable that they would be wiped out without a top expert. Therefore, rather than staying in Baiming town, Kitsune might as well head out to train and grow rapidly. If she could cultivate to the conjoint body or Mahayana realm, the Baiming family would continue to exist as long as she was alive without any danger. The siblings exchanged glances and understood each other's intentions without saying anything. Kitsune said gently, "Little brother, you've already grown up. No matter what decision you make, I'll support you." "Alright." Baiming Ao grit his teeth. "Since that's the case, I've decided to join forces with the Nangong family. We'll write off our past grudges and share the divine spring." Nangong Ling and the others were delighted and heaved a sigh of relief. This was undoubtedly the best outcome for the two aristocratic families. Even Elder Lan Tian nodded slightly as he looked at Baiming Ao with admiration. Before this, the three aristocratic families had bullied and humiliated the Baiming family. They had robbed the Baiming family of their cultivation methods, secret skills, treasures, and resources. This was a grudge that had lasted for many years. At such a young age, Baiming Ao was able to let go of these grudges for the sake of his family. With such a broad vision, he already had the bearing of a patriarch. He's also a good seedling. Elder Lan Tian muttered in his heart. Everyone was shocked by Kitsune's talent, but Baiming Ao was not weak either. After all, to be able to form a Jin Dan phenomenon at the age of 15 with some unorthodox cultivation techniques and scarce cultivation resources, that was already something that surpassed most paragons. Su Zimo looked at Elder Lan Tian and said calmly, "Taoist Lan Tian, since the Kidami clan is willing to let go of past grievances and share the divine spring with the Nangong family should at least reciprocate." The term, fellow Taoist, was mostly used when someone was of the same cultivation realm or status. However, Su Zimo was only at the conjoint body realm while Elder Lan Tian was a half-martial ancestor. However, Elder Lan Tian did not resist at all when he heard the term fellow Taoist. Just now, Araki Takashi had just killed 2 half-martial ancestors. What was wrong with calling him a fellow Taoist? Elder Lan Tian was pondering over an idea in his mind. When he heard this, he immediately made a decision. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Baiming Ao. He chuckled and said, "I still lack a disciple. If you don't mind, this old man can teach you something." A half-martial ancestor taking in a disciple. That was a huge matter. Even the cultivators of the Nangong family revealed looks of envy, let alone the Kidami clan. Kitsune was delighted as well. With that identity, no one would dare to lay their hands on Baiming Ao anymore. Anyone who dared to provoke the disciple of a half-martial ancestor would have to suffer the wrath of the latter. Araki Takashi was way too influential. Many cultivators were secretly alarmed. Actually, even without Su Zimo's reminder, Elder Lan Tian was tempted to take him in as a disciple. "Little brother, why aren't you greeting Master?" Kitsune reminded. Baiming Ao hurriedly ran to Elder Lan Tian and knelt down respectfully to acknowledge him as his master. Well said. Elder Lan Tian helped Baiming Ao up with a smile. "Nangong Li, the two of you should interact more in the future," Elder Lan Tian said to Nangong. Nangong Li smiled bitterly internally. As the head of the Nangong family and a conjoint body mighty figure, he had lived for almost 10,000 years. However, because of a single sentence from Elder Lan Tian, his seniority was on par with a 15-year-old child like Baiming Ao. "Brother, Baiming." Nangong Li took the initiative to cup his fists towards Baiming Ao and coughed gently. Addressing a 15-year-old child as his brother, this scene was really a little strange. "Fellow Taoist Araki Takashi, what are your plans from now on, fellow Taoist?" Elder Lan Tian turned to look at Su Zimo and asked. Before long, news of what happened today would spread throughout the cultivation world, and Araki Takashi's every move in the cultivation world would attract countless gazes. "I might stay in the south region for a period of time." Su Zimo thought of something else and did not say it explicitly, replying vaguely. Elder Lan Tian said, If fellow Taoist Araki Takashi encounters any difficulties, you can send a message to the Nangong family at any time. If it's within our means, the Nangong family will definitely help you with all our might. Actually, that was just a formality. If Su Zimo were to go to war with the Dongfang and Shimin aristocratic families, the Nangong family would definitely not interfere. If there's nothing else, everyone can disperse first. Su Zimo said, "From now on, this is an important place guarded by the Nangong and Baiming aristocratic families. Don't step in casually from now on. I'll be here for a couple of days. If there's anything, you can inform me outside." That was an order for them to leave. Elder Lan Tian and the others left sensibly as well. "Sister." Baiming Ao called out softly and wanted to walk over. However, Kitsune shook her head. "Little brother, leave with your clansmen first. Don't come down without my orders." "Ah?" Baiming Ao was stunned for a moment. Although he was filled with doubts, he still chose to listen to Kitsune and left the hall with his clansmen. Before long, Su Zimo and Kitsune were the only ones left in the hall. There were also many corpses and flesh on the ground. "Master, is there anything?" Kitsune asked softly. Su Zimo nodded and said in a low voice, "There is indeed something." When she saw Su Zimo asking them to leave, she vaguely guessed that her master seemed to be hiding something and did not want others to know. Not to mention the Nangong family, even the other clansmen of the Kidami clan had to be kept a secret. What was it? At this moment, a crashing sound was heard. The divine spring at the side rumbled and a gigantic stone flew out of the golden pool, rolling around on the ground. The patterns on the surface of the gigantic stone surged with two extreme auras, forming a devouring power that seemed to be sucking in the flesh and blood of this place. Chapter 1388. This is... Kitsune was shocked. Just now that Su Zimo was fighting many mighty figures, she could sense the existence of this stone while hiding in the primordial divine spring. But now, the stone actually jumped out and rolled around on the ground, catching her off guard. "Is this a living thing?" Kitsune could not help but ask when she saw that Su Zimo did not seem surprised. Su Zimo nodded and looked at the oval-shaped boulder. He said slowly, "This is the true secret that your Kidami clan is guarding, not this primordial divine spring." Hearing this, Baiming Shue's mind was greatly shaken, and she was dumbfounded. She had not expected that the secret guarded by the Kidami clan was not a supreme treasure like the primordial divine spring, but a strange stone. She was smart enough to realize what was going on at the first moment. Her master did not tell her about this secret earlier and waited for everyone to leave before telling her. It must be something important. Kitsune stared at the gigantic stone for a while and frowned slightly. She could not help but ask, "Is this an egg?" Su Zimo did not answer and asked instead, "Have you heard of the primordial taboo?" "I've heard of it." Kitsune said, "I only found out about it because of the news of the battle in Heaven and Earth Valley. In the primordial era, there was an extremely terrifying and powerful living being known as the primordial taboo. The demon beast beside Master is the primordial taboo, right?" Su Zimo nodded and said, "The night spirit is one of the chi, one of the taboos." "One of the taboos?" Kitsune was stunned for a moment before asking, "Could it be that the primordial taboo is not a race?" Su Zimo said, "In the primordial era, there were 3 great taboos. The chi was only one of them. The other 2 were the dragon phoenix and Kuan-peng." Kitsune was deep in thought. A moment later, her eyes lit up and she suddenly asked, "Master, are you saying that this gigantic egg is nurturing a primordial taboo?" "If I'm not wrong, this should be a Kuan-peng egg." Su Zimo said. Kitsune exclaimed. How powerful was the ancient taboo? Even the primordial 9 clans were extremely fearful of him, and they didn't even wait for the night spirit to grow before they mobilized their forces with the intention of joining forces to kill him. Kitsune had never thought that her ancestor was actually guarding such a shocking secret. Su Zimo said, "The reason why I didn't tell anyone about this is because this secret is too big. If news of the primordial divine spring were to spread, with the Nangong family's strength, they might be able to guard this divine spring. But if the news of the Kuan-peng egg spreads out, Not to mention the Nangong family. Even if the three aristocratic families work together, I'm afraid they won't be able to keep it. In fact, this secret was a disaster rather than a blessing for the Kitami clan. That was the reason why the ancestors of the Kitami clan were so careful. Su Zimo said, "Firstly, I asked the others to leave because I wanted to tell you about this. Secondly, this Kuenpring egg is extremely intelligent. As you can see, it's devouring the flesh essence energy. In fact, it could even sense the danger outside and did not expose itself in advance. It only ran out when I asked the others to leave." Kitsune nodded. Although the Kuenpeng had yet to hatch, it had already displayed an intelligence that surpassed ordinary. "How should we deal with this?" Kitsune frowned slightly and asked. Su Zimo shook his head as well. After pondering for a moment, Su Zimo said, "We'll see what happens after the Kuenpring egg absorbs the flesh essence energy." "That's the only way." Kitsune nodded. Right then, Kitsune's heart skipped a beat as she vaguely sensed an opportunity. "Master, I might be about to break through," Kitsune said. Actually, after cultivating Wu Dao, he could attempt to break through after condensing the blood Qi Jindan. The reason why Su Zimo wanted Kitsune to continue cultivating was because he wanted her to lay down a perfect foundation so that she could go further on the path of cultivation in the future. That was because no one knew Wu Dao better than him. Wu Dao's true body cultivated to the power of the dragon elephant. After breaking through, the essence spirit that he condensed even gave birth to a martial spirit fire that was extremely powerful. "Break through here then." Su Zimo nodded and pointed to the primordial divine spring. Kitsune had long reached the realm of breaking through. Now that she was watching a battle between mighty figures, she finally sensed the opportunity to break through to the essence spirit realm. Kitsune entered the golden pool and sat cross-legged, attempting to break through. Su Zimo guarded the entrance of the hall. Not only did he protect Kitsune, he also had to protect the Kuenpring egg from outsiders. Time gradually passed. In the blink of an eye, a day and night passed. Suddenly, Kitsune shuddered and her aura rose continuously, as though some sort of shackle had been broken. In fact, an extremely sharp glint appeared from her body. Su Zimo's expression changed as he nodded slightly. Not bad, not bad. Kitsune had broken through and was already at the martial spirit realm. In other words, she was at the nascent soul realm of the immortal, Buddhist, and fiend Das. Not only that, Baiming Shue's martial spirit had evolved into a sharp longsword at first, then it transformed into its original form. There were many types of martial spirits. Su Zimo's martial spirit was derived from flames. As for Kitsune, she derived from swords. If nothing went wrong, Kitsune's comprehension of the sword Dao would definitely surpass everyone else in the future. With the help of such a martial spirit, the power of Kitsune's sword Dao would definitely be extremely terrifying. After another 2 hours, Kitsune's aura finally stabilized. Kitsune opened her eyes and sensed the changes in her body. She could not help but smile. "Master, I succeeded." "Yes," Su Zimo nodded. Right then, the Kuenpring egg at the side stopped as well. It had already devoured all the flesh on the ground. Even so, the Kuenpring showed no signs of hatching. The flesh and blood in the hall were all conjoint body mighty figures and half-martial ancestor experts. To think that such a massive amount of flesh and blood essence could not hatch the Kuenpeng. The devouring power of the Kuenpeng was way too terrifying. Su Zimo was secretly shocked. Now, it seemed like this taboo was truly troublesome. Even super sex might not be able to hatch this Kuenpeng, let alone him. Even if it hatched, given the appetite of this Kuenpeng, it could probably eat 1 or 2 super sex. It was indeed not a coincidence that the taboo race was rare. If there were a few more Kuenpengs that consumed such a massive amount of resources, the entire Tianhuang mainland would probably dry up. Just as Su Zimo was pondering, the Kuenpeng egg hopped to his side and rubbed against his arm intimately. Kitsune walked out of the primordial divine spring. The Kuenpeng egg rolled to Kitsune's feet and circled around her. Although it did not hatch after devouring so much flesh and blood, the Kuenpeng egg was clearly extremely happy. Chapter 1389. Master, what should we do now? Kitsune was worried. Firstly, the devouring power of the Kuenpring egg was way too great. Even super sex would find it difficult to hatch it, let alone Kitsune. Secondly, once the Kuenpring egg was exposed, the Baiming family would face destruction. Su Zimo pondered in silence. There was no way he could bring the Kuenpring egg with him. Firstly, he did not have that many treasures, resources and flesh essence to hatch the Kuenpring egg. Secondly, he had other important matters to attend to and could not possibly focus on the Kuenpring egg. Suddenly, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat as he thought of a solution. In the extreme north of Tianhuang mainland, there was a sea that was frozen all year round and was known as the North Sea. Within the North Sea, there was an extremely vast inner sea. It was one of the 9 forbidden grounds of Tianhuang mainland, the North Sea. That forbidden ground was the habitat of one of the primordial 9 races, the Kuen race. If he were to throw the Kuenpring egg into the North Sea, the Kuen race would definitely do their best to hatch it. Furthermore, they would protect it with their lives. The Kuenpeng was to the Kuen race what the dragon phoenix was to dragons. The North Sea had existed since the primordial era and there were countless treasures and cultivation resources buried within. Just the North Sea alone had countless living beings and experts. In Tianhuang mainland, there was a saying that there were 3 seas, 4 regions and 1 continent. It was just an ocean, but its surface area was far larger than the 4 regions and 1 continent. There were many different kinds of living beings living in it. In fact, there were even many powerful primordial living beings. The Kuenpeng would only truly return to its own world after returning to the North Sea. There, the Kuenpeng would definitely be able to hatch. Furthermore, with a massive entity like the Kuen race, there would be an endless supply of cultivation resources. There, the Kuenpeng would grow rapidly as well. As long as the Kuen race hid this secret well, there would not be any danger there. It could be said that the North Sea was a near-perfect place for the Kuenpeng. Of course, that was a risky idea. Taboos were not ordinary living beings after all. Now that the Kuenpeng egg was awakened by his bloodline, it was close to him. And because the Kitami clan was protecting him, he could feel Kitsune's bloodline. Therefore, this Kuenpeng egg was also very close to Kitsune. However, if it was thrown into the Northern Sea, its connection with Su Zimo and Kitsune would be completely severed. In that kind of environment, without them by its side, after many years, when this Kuenpeng truly grew up, it would probably have no feelings for them. In the eyes of the Kuen race, humans were nothing more than ants. Moreover, this was in the eyes of the forbidden Kuenpeng. When this Kuenpeng grew up, what it would become was definitely an unknown variable. Su Zimo pondered for a while. Looking at the Kuenpeng egg in front of him, he said in a deep voice, "I can bring you to a place where you can grow quickly. However, Dark North and I will not be by your side." The Kuenpeng egg immediately shook its body, as if it was very unwilling. "Go. Stay by my side. I can't protect you at all." Kitsune smiled and patted the Kuenpeng egg gently. The Kuenpeng egg was still unwilling. It just stayed by Su Zimo and Kitsune's side, rubbing against them. It was very clingy. After a while, the Kuenpeng egg seemed to have thought of something. It suddenly rolled in front of Su Zimo and leaned forward as if it was bowing to him. Su Zimo laughed and shook his head slightly. He said, "What are you doing? Are you acknowledging me as your master?" He said that casually. To his surprise, the Kuenpeng egg jumped up from the ground. It was as if Su Zimo had hit the nail on the head. How smart! Kitsune could not help but praise. This Kuenpeng had not hatched yet. It was only an egg, but it already had such intelligence. "Master, why don't you take it as your disciple?" Kitsune also smiled. "The ancient taboo is definitely more talented than me. It should be qualified to be your disciple." Take in a primordial taboo as a disciple? If news of this were to spread, it would definitely cause an uproar. What was a primordial taboo? Who would be qualified to be the master of a taboo? Furthermore, everyone would avoid a primordial taboo at all costs. Who would take the initiative to provoke it and be implicated? However, Su Zimo had no qualms about something as such. If the Kuenpeng was included, the 3 primordial taboo were more or less related to him. Furthermore, taking in a Kuenpeng as a disciple might not be a disaster. "Master, Just take him in. Kitsune was truly fond of the Kuenpeng. It was rare for her to act like a girl and say coquettishly, "I'm the eldest disciple. It's great to have a junior brother or sister." Su Zimo did not reply. He looked at the Kuenpeng egg not far away and said in a deep voice, "Taking someone as your master is no small matter. Are you serious?" The Kuenpeng egg jumped on the spot hurriedly to express its seriousness. Kitsune covered her mouth and laughed. Su Zimo said, "Since that's the case, I'll take you in as my disciple. Kitsune is your senior sister. My name is Su Zimo, and my Taoist name is Araki Takashi. Remember that." The Kuenpeng egg looked rather excited and bowed repeatedly. "Master, he doesn't have a name yet." Kitsune reminded. Su Zimo pondered for a moment and said, "Since that's the case, I'll give you a name, Xiaoyao. I hope that you can be carefree and unrestrained in the future." Xiaoyao was not only the hope that Su Zimo placed on the Kuenpeng, but also a manifestation of the Kuenpeng's own ability. "Xiaoyao, Xiaoyao." Kitsune muttered softly and patted the Kuenpeng egg. She said with a smile, "From now on, you have a name. You're called Xiaoyao." Hearing this name, the Kuenpeng egg was also extremely excited. It jumped up and down and rubbed against Su Zimo. "Don't play this game with me." Su Zimo smiled and pushed the Kuenpeng egg away. He said, "Since you've acknowledged me as your master, I have to send you to the Northern Sea." The Northern Sea was the best place for Xiaoyao to go. Before, Su Zimo was still a little hesitant. But now, since Xiaoyao had become his disciple, no matter what Xiaoyao would become in the future, he had to send Xiaoyao there. Only in the Northern Sea could Xiaoyao grow up safely. Hearing Su Zimo's words, the Kuenpeng egg was a little disappointed. According to what his master said, if he went to the Northern Sea, he would have to leave his master and senior sister. When he woke up, the first thing he saw was Su Zimo and Kitsune. Because of the bloodline, he had an indescribable sense of closeness to the two of them. But now, the three of them were forced to separate. "Master, the Northern Sea is in the extreme north of Tianhuang mainland and is billions of miles away from here. When do you plan to move?" Kitsune asked. "I have other things to do and won't return to the north region for the time being." Su Zimo said, "The other me will bring Xiaoyao to the Northern Sea." "The other me?" Kitsune froze for a moment and did not understand. Right then, someone walked in from outside the hall. That person wore a purple Taoist robe and had shoulder-length black hair. He had delicate features and looked exactly the same as Su Zimo. Chapter 1390. This is... Kitsune was dumbfounded as she looked back and forth between the purple-robed cultivator and Su Zimo with a shocked expression. Apart from the difference in his Tao robes, the purple-robed cultivator looked exactly the same as her master. However, Kitsune could vaguely sense that there was something different about the purple-robed cultivator. It was an indescribable feeling. "Everyone thinks that I have two true bodies. That's not the case." Su Zimo pointed at the purple-robed cultivator who walked in and said indifferently, "This is my third true body." It was Su Zimo's Wu Dao's true body. Actually, Su Zimo had already summoned Wu Dao's true body over a year ago. At that time, the essence spirit of Qinglian's true body was injured. Seeing that the aristocratic family competition was about to begin, Su Zimo was worried that something unexpected would happen and provoke some top experts. The true bodies of the dragons were cultivating in seclusion in the South Sea, and it was not appropriate to alarm them. The only one who could help was Wu Dao's true body. Therefore, even if Qinglian's true body did not receive the nourishment of the primordial divine spring and recovered from her injuries to enter the conjoint body realm, Su Zimo was not worried. As long as Wu Dao's true body rushed over, even if he could not defeat the experts of the two aristocratic families, he could summon that damaged teleportation formation and leave calmly with Qinglian's true body and Kitsune. That was Su Zimo's original plan. However, later on, the secret of the Baiming aristocratic family was exposed and Qinglian's true body obtained a huge opportunity as well. She was reborn and killed 2 half-martial ancestors and more than 30 conjoint body mighty figures in one go. Wu Dao's true body sensed the situation here and did not appear. It was only at this moment that Wu Dao's true body appeared. Master, this is similar to your clone, right? Kitsune gradually understood. Su Zimo nodded and did not explain further. Kitsune looked at Wu Dao's main body and couldn't help but ask, Master, what's the cultivation of this clone of yours? Early Transcendence Realm. Su Zimo said. Wu Dao's original body had been cultivating for more than 100 years. This cultivation speed was already extremely terrifying. Wu Dao had refined hundreds of scriptures like a furnace. Over the years, he had refined all the secret arts and cultivation arts that his two true forms had obtained. His cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. Early Transcendence Realm. Kitsune murmured. It was normal for the clone's cultivation to be lower. But for some reason, Kitsune felt an indescribable pressure when facing her master's Wu Dao true body. Kitsune shook her head and didn't think too much about it. Little junior brother, why are you so quiet? Kitsune glanced sideways at the Kuenpring egg at the side and chuckled, asking casually, Can't bear to leave me? Initially, the Kuenpring egg was extremely excited. However, for some reason, it suddenly quietened down after Wu Dao's original body entered. The Kuenpring egg did not move. If it was just now, the Kuenpring egg would have jumped up and down to express its emotions. Wu Dao's original body's eyes were clear as he shifted his gaze to the Kuenpring egg. He waved his hand and said, Come over, I'll take you away. The Kuenpring egg did not advance. Instead, it moved back as though it was dodging. What's wrong with you? Go over. Kitsune said with a smile and pushed the Kuenpring egg in the direction of Wu Dao's original body. This time, not only did she fail to move the Kuenpring egg, but it also seemed to be frightened by something. With a whoosh, it hid behind Bai Ming Shui. This time round, even Su Zimo could tell that something was amiss. It was not that the Kuenpring egg did not want to leave. The egg was afraid. To be precise, the Kuenpring egg was afraid of Wu Dao's original body and did not even dare to get close to him. This is Master's clone. What are you afraid of? Kitsune smiled and patted the Kuenpring egg gently. The Kuenpring egg still did not dare to advance. Kitsune could clearly sense that the gigantic egg of the Kuenpring egg was trembling under her palm. How scared is it? Kitsune was stunned. It seemed like the Kuenpring egg was afraid of Wu Dao's original body from the depths of its heart. However, how could that be? According to Master, this was only a clone of his master and his cultivation realm was only at the Dharma characteristic realm. How could it scare the Kuenpeng of the three taboos to such an extent? Furthermore, the Kuenpring egg was extremely intimate with Su Zimo's Qinglian's true body and would circle around and rub against it from time to time. However, in front of Wu Dao's true body, the Kuenpring egg was trembling in fear. Su Zimo lamented internally when he saw that. As expected of one of the three taboos. It has such a sharp sense of smell even before it's born. Wu Dao's true body had never attacked before. Almost no one knew of his existence either. Therefore, no one knew better than Su Zimo how terrifying Wu Dao's true body was. This was an anomaly that had jumped out of the three realms and was not part of the five elements. Back when Wu Dao's true body was just born, even Patriarch Yuan Bei of the Mahayana realm could not see through the fate of Wu Dao's true body with his divine power, mind reading. It did not mean that the current Wu Dao's true body was stronger than Qinglian's true body. It was because the Kuenpring egg had yet to hatch and did not have the five senses such as sight and hearing. It could only rely on its innate spirit perception to sense the outside world. In his perception, Qinglian's true body was a jade-green Qinglian that emitted a resplendent glow and was filled with boundless life force. Furthermore, he had once absorbed the bloodline of Qinglian's true body and naturally did not have any resistance towards Qinglian's true body. However, that was not the case for Wu Dao's true body. The martial Dao true body cultivates the physical body, using the true body as a great furnace to nurture the 100 scriptures in one furnace, fusing the myriad of laws into one body. The martial spirit fire doesn't stop, constantly tempering the physical body, refining the 100 scriptures. In the perception of the Kuenpring egg, Wu Dao's true body was a gigantic furnace that emitted a destructive aura as though it could smelt everything in the world. Even he would not be able to escape this fate. Naturally, he was afraid and did not dare to approach. Xiao Yao, go with him. Su Zimo finally opened his mouth and said, "He is me and I am him. There is no difference between us and he will not hurt you." Hearing this, the Kuanping egg was slightly relieved. This huge egg moved slowly towards Wu Dao's true body. Its speed was extremely slow and it could be seen that it was very unhappy. The Kuanping egg walked and stopped, reluctant to part with him. Although he had yet to hatch, he could vaguely guess that after this farewell, he did not know when he would be able to meet his master and senior sister again. "It's okay. You have to grow up quickly and we will meet again." Kitsune could vaguely feel the Kuanping egg's thoughts and comforted him gently. This Kuanping egg was not only her junior brother but also the secret of the Baiming family that had been guarded for thousands of years. Kitsune naturally had some feelings for Xiao Yao. After a long time, the Kuanping egg moved slowly in front of Wu Dao's true body. Without saying anything, Wu Dao's true body waved his sleeves and rolled up the huge Kuanping egg. He turned around and left. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from the main hall. Chapter 1391. After Wu Dao's true body left with Xiao Yao, Su Zimo and Kitsune were the only ones left in the hall. Without Xiao Yao, the hall fell silent for a moment. Kitsune lowered her head slightly with a faint sorrow in her eyes. After a moment, she finally spoke. "Master, you're leaving, right?" "Yes." Su Zimo nodded and did not hide anything. "You've already cultivated to the nascent soul realm. It's time for you to go out and train yourself and explore the cultivation world." Kitsune remained silent. She knew in her heart that her master could not be by her side forever to protect her and protect her from all storms. However, she had a wish in her heart. Even if her cultivation did not improve at all, she hoped that her master could always be by her side to protect her. Kitsune took a deep breath of air and composed herself quickly. She put away those thoughts in her heart and said, "All right, I'll go check out the cultivation world outside right now." "Don't worry, master, I won't embarrass you." Before long, news of what happened today would spread throughout the entire cultivation world. At that time, all the cultivators in the world would know that Kitsune was Araki Takashi's eldest disciple. At that time, there might be dangers and challenges waiting for her. All of that would become the foundation for her to temper Wu Dao. "Where do you plan to go from now on, master?" Kitsune asked again. "I happen to be in the southern region and plan to meet an old friend." The voice and appearance of a young monk flashed through Su Zimo's mind as he murmured, "It's been a long time since I've heard from him. I'm a little worried." "You have to raise your cultivation as soon as possible. There will be many calamities in the future of Tianhuang mainland. Without strength, you can die easily, let alone protect your family." Su Zimo reminded again. His worries were not groundless. All the signs indicated that Tianhuang mainland was about to descend into chaos. A massive change was about to descend. There was a high chance that this change would engulf the entire Tianhuang mainland and no sect, faction, or race would be spared. South Sea, depths of the sea. There were massive living beings and races in the ocean that far surpassed the continents. The resources in the ocean were also extremely rich and nurtured countless experts. There were 8 demon regions in Tianhuang mainland. Among them, the East, South and North Seas occupied 3 of them. There were countless secrets hidden in the ocean. It was once rumored that the 3 seas contained the most ancient ruins, and they were also the ones that were the most well-preserved. The ocean was deep and its deepest depths could even reach hundreds of thousands of meters. There were not many living beings at the deepest depths of the sea. That was because as the depth of the sea increased, the pressure around the sea increased as well. Without a conjoint body realm cultivation, there was no way one could survive in the deep sea. At that moment, there was a figure. This figure had shoulder-length crimson hair and was like a flame. Even in the deep sea, it showed no signs of being extinguished. True body's true form's body. Although his dragon true body was still in the Dharma characteristic realm, he could still survive in the deep sea with his physical body and bloodline. After receiving guidance from a mysterious expert, the true bodies of the dragons dove into the depths of the sea to cultivate the sea calming scroll. The true form of dragons could survive at the bottom of the sea. However, this did not mean that he could move freely at the bottom of the sea. Even with his body and bloodline, he could still feel the terrifying pressure at the bottom of the sea. Every movement consumed hundreds of times more strength than when he was on land. Under the resistance and pressure of the seawater, the speed of each strike would become extremely slow and difficult. In such an environment, the true bodies of the dragons gritted their teeth and continued to cultivate. After 3 years of cultivation, the dragon's true body's comprehension of the saber Tao had deepened. He had finally comprehended the profound meaning of sea calming. Without seeing the ocean with one's own eyes, one would never truly comprehend the essence of the sea calming scroll. Without personally experiencing the raging waves of the ocean, one would never be able to experience the power of sea calming. For the past 3 years, the cultivation of the true bodies of the dragons were still at the Dharma characteristic realm and had not broken through. However, he had a new understanding of the saber Tao. This day, the true bodies of the dragons cultivated at the bottom of the sea with their eyes closed, slashing and retracting their sabers repeatedly. All of a sudden, the true bodies of the dragons opened their eyes. In this deep and gloomy sea, 2 beams of divine light seemed to burst forth, illuminating this part of the sea. Under the illumination of the divine lights, the true bodies of the dragons could clearly see 3 faint figures charging towards him along the undercurrents at the bottom of the sea with a murderous aura. They were hostile. The 3 of them were extremely fast and arrived before him in the blink of an eye. 3 mighty figures. The true bodies of the dragons scanned with their spirit consciousness and sensed that the 3 figures were all at the conjoint body realm. A look of mockery flashed through the eyes of the true bodies of the dragons. Without seeing how the true bodies of the dragons moved, their spirit consciousnesses moved and the sabers on their knees suddenly bounced up and landed in their palms. The true bodies of the dragons had an indifferent expression as they gripped the dragon soul saber and slashed forward. This saber strike completely slashed at empty space, not slashing at anyone. The 3 figures that charged over were delighted. Seems like this person doesn't have many tricks up his sleeves. To think that his slash missed. The moment that thought crossed their minds, their expressions changed. After the slash landed, a gigantic vortex was formed where the blade passed by. It was earth-shattering and stirred the entire ocean. It was not obvious in the depths of the sea. If someone were to stand in the skies and look down at the surface of the sea, they would be able to clearly see that the seawater was gathering and spinning continuously, forming a gigantic vortex. The depths of the vortex seemed to reach the bottom of the sea. In the depths of the sea, the 3 conjoint body mighty figures had just attacked when their destiny dermic weapons deviated from their original trajectories by the power of the vortex. Even the physical bodies of the 3 of them were somewhat out of their control. They were swept up by the terrifying force of the vortex and surged towards the dragon's soul saber. The 3 mighty figures were shocked. The power of that casual slash was so terrifying. This person was only at the Dharma characteristic realm. How could he produce such a saber technique? That slash had completely channeled the power of heaven and earth. This was a power that only conjoint body mighty figures could come into contact with. The moment that thought crossed the mind of the 3 conjoint body mighty figures, the true bodies of the dragons had already retracted their dragon soul saber and slashed out once more. Swoosh! A wave that was hundreds of thousands of meters tall surged towards the 3 of them. This wasn't real seawater, but waves formed from layers upon layers of saber chi. They contained an extremely fierce sharpness that could crush everything as they whistled over. The 3 mighty figures did not have time to think as they channeled their essence spirits wildly, conjuring dermic arts one after another. They controlled their destiny dermic weapons to collide with the wave. Boom! There was a deafening sound. As though they were struck by lightning, the 3 mighty figures' Tao robes cracked and their bodies were covered in wounds and dripping with blood. The eyes of the 3 mighty figures were filled with endless fear. Chapter 1392. 3 conjoint body mighty figures were severely injured with just 2 slashes. Retreat first, we can't win. The 3 mighty cultivators transmitted their voices to one another and fled into the distance at the same time. Swoosh! In order to maximize their speed, The three mighty figures revealed their true forms at the same time. They were three living beings of the sea region, conjoint body realm demons. One of them was extremely massive. It was a silver fin megalodon. The gigantic silver fins on its back shone brightly and were extremely eye-catching in the deep sea. Legend has it that the silver fins on the back of the silver fin megalodon were born with the ability to absorb moonlight to cultivate and raise their cultivation. They were extremely powerful. In this sea region, they were considered as overlords of the shark race. Normally speaking, for living beings such as demons, their combat strength would increase by at least 30% after they reverted to their true forms. However, the silver fin megalodon did not linger for a single moment. After reverting to its true form, the first thing it chose to do was flee into the distance. As for the other two demons, one of them was a colorful dragonfish. Legend has it that dragonfish possessed a thin bloodline of dragons and could be considered as a branch of the mixed dragon lineage. Its potential was naturally extraordinary. The other demon's true form was an ancient electric eel that shone with blue lightning. It swayed its tail and shuttled through the deep sea at an extremely fast speed. Trying to escape? Su Zimo waved his saber and a heavy saber chi surged around him, creating a series of raging waves that swept in all directions. Before the three demons could escape far, they were engulfed by the raging waves behind them. Roar! 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 The three demons shrieked and channeled their essence spirits wildly, releasing dermic arts one after another with all their might to collide with the raging waves. Bang! 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 The three demons shuddered and new injuries were added to their old injuries before they could recover. Scarlet blood seeped out of the mouths and noses of the three demons and their organs were displaced by the raging waves. Fellow Taoist Long Imo were rather famous in the South Sea. Please show mercy, fellow Taoist. Sensing the aura of death, the silver fin megalodon could no longer hold on and was the first to lower its pride and beg for mercy. You're here to kill me, but you want me to show mercy? Su Zimo asked with a mocking expression. Misunderstanding. The ancient electric eel also spoke in human language and hurriedly explained. We heard that there's a powerhouse practicing saber techniques here. We were curious and wanted to come and exchange pointers with you. Su Zimo asked with a faint smile. Then how did the three of you know my name? The three great demons were stunned for a moment as a trace of panic flashed across their eyes. But soon, the silver fin megalodon replied, Who doesn't know the name of Divine Phoenix Island's young master? Since you know that I am the young master of Divine Phoenix Island, you still dare to kill me? Su Zimo's expression gradually turned cold, and he slowly said, Who gave you such guts? When Su Zimo had first arrived at Divine Phoenix Island, he had only been there for a short 3 years. He hadn't come into contact with many people. After inheriting the position of young master, he had run off to the deep sea to cultivate. He did not recognize these three great demons at all. He also didn't know how he had formed a grudge with the three great demons. The only possibility was that the three great demons had been ordered by someone else. The three great demons had terrible expressions. The silver fin megalodon was silent for a long time before saying in a deep voice, Long Imo, we have a Tao oath. We can't say anything about this. If you don't want to say it, then die. Su Zimo shook his head gently. He could not be bothered to waste his breath on the three great demons and attacked once more, slashing forward. This time round, there was no sound when the dragon soul saber slashed down. A series of ripples appeared in the deep sea and rippled towards the three great demons. This saber strike was silent, but it contained a fatal killing intent. Long Imo, you're going too far. The silver fin megalodon roared and suddenly opened its bloody mouth, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. A vicious glint flashed through its eyes. That mouthful of silver teeth suddenly fell out of the silver fin megalodon's mouth. Still stained with blood, they pierced toward Su Zimo like flying swords. That was the silver fin megalodon's trump card. He had cultivated that mouthful of teeth for so many years and contained more than half of his cultivation. Even if he could survive after releasing that move, his combat strength would be greatly reduced. At this point, he could no longer care about anything else. The dragonfish and ancient electric eel at the side released their life-saving trump cards one after another as well. Talismans and secret skills burst forth one after another. Crack, crack, crack. The gigantic teeth collided with the ripples released by the Dragon Soul saber and shattered instantly, turning into shards that sank to the bottom of the sea. There were thousands of teeth in the silver-fin megalodon's mouth. Yet they were all destroyed by Su Zimo's slash just like that. The secret skills released by the dragonfish and ancient electric eel could not defend against the ripples of the saber. The talismans on the two great demons were shattered by the layers of ripples. The three great demons spat out a large mouthful of blood. Countless wounds appeared on their bodies and their organs were lacerated by the ripples. They were riddled with injuries. The three great demons had grim expressions as they split into three different directions and fled into the distance. This was the South Sea after all. They had lived in the South Sea for more than 10,000 years and were more familiar with the terrain, environment and everything else of the South Sea than Su Zimo. They believed that as long as they were sufficiently far away, the three great demons could make use of the terrain of the South Sea to shake off Su Zimo. Su Zimo looked at the three fleeing great demons and remained seated on the ground without getting up. To be precise, he had not stood up ever since the three great demons appeared. Suddenly, Su Zimo closed his eyes. He chased after the feeling in his heart as though it was his daily cultivation practice. A slash with his saber. This saber strike was like a heavenly steed soaring across the skies, leaving no trace behind. Originally, because of this great battle, this part of the sea was already in a perilous situation, the blue waves surging violently. However, after that slash, the sea returned to calmness. The massive South Sea was calm and peaceful. Before the three great demons could escape far, a saber beam descended from the skies and landed on their heads. Instantly, their bodies froze and their eyes dimmed. The three great demons' essence spirits were destroyed and their Tao dissipated. At the same time, Su Zimo had already sensed the situation on the side of Qinglian's true body and was relieved. Although he had improved a lot in his saber Tao after 3 years of cultivation, his cultivation realm was still at the perfected Dharma characteristic realm and could not advance any further. The further one progressed on the path of cultivation, the more difficult it was. It was even more difficult to break through a major cultivation realm. Qinglian's true body was nourished by the primordial divine spring. Coupled with the creation, Qinglian only managed to enter the conjoint body realm after growing to grade 7. As for the dragon's true bodies, no one knew how long it would take for them to enter the conjoint body realm. It could be 10 years or 100 years. If there was no opportunity, it could even take thousands of years. Such things could not be rushed. It's time to return, Su Zimo murmured softly and prepared to return to Divine Phoenix Island. Chapter 1393. Divine Phoenix Island. Many cultivators stood in midair, looking down at the surface of the sea and discussing. There was such a huge commotion in the South Sea earlier on. I wonder what kind of battle broke out below. I reckon that there's a high chance that a mighty figure is involved. Mo Ying stood at the side and frowned slightly with a worried expression. Right then, a cultivator walked over from not far away. He was dressed in white robes and looked rather refined. His expression was gentle and he had a smile on his face. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix. Many cultivators bowed hurriedly when they saw this person. Even though the mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix failed to wield the Dragon Soul Saber 3 years ago, he still had an unshakable position on Divine Phoenix Island after many years. Furthermore, the mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix was the owner of another Divine Phoenix bone. For the past 3 years, the mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix had been facing the wall at the South Sea horizon and only regained his freedom recently. After all, the mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix had been extremely restrained the entire time in the Dragon Soul Palace and did not do anything out of line. What are you guys discussing? The mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix asked with a smile. Just now, the South Sea is suddenly surging violently. We're all guessing that there should be top experts fighting in the South Sea. A cultivator said hurriedly. The mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix nodded slightly. Now that the surface of the sea is calm, it seems like the battle is over. Everyone, disperse and don't crowd around here. Understood. Many cultivators cupped their fists and prepared to leave. Swoosh. Right then, the sound of water echoed from the surface of the sea. 3 gigantic figures broke out of the sea, their bodies filled with the thick smell of blood. The crowd looked over instinctively and could not help but be shocked. Not good. It's a silverfin megalodon. Ah, that's an ancient electric eel. There's also a dragonfish. Something's not right? The moment the exclamation sounded, everyone discovered something amiss. The 3 sea realm living beings were covered in wounds. Although their blood still emitted immense energy, they were no longer alive. The energy emitted by their blood was so strong. The cultivation realms of the 3 sea realm living beings were most likely at the conjoint body realm when they were alive. Strange, why would the corpses of the 3 demonic beasts jump out of the sea by themselves? Just then, a sharp-eyed cultivator caught sight of a figure below the corpses of the 3 demonic beasts. His hair was scarlet like flames and he wore a scarlet robe. He was holding the corpses of the 3 demonic beasts in one hand and a long saber in the other. Many cultivators were stunned. Su Zimo had become the young master of Divine Phoenix Island. Although he had announced this to Divine Phoenix Island, he had gone into the sea to cultivate and hadn't appeared at all. When the cultivators on the island saw Su Zimo, they couldn't immediately recognize him. Only Heavenly Phoenix's eyes flickered for a moment before returning to normal. Mo Ing immediately recognized Su Zimo, and a smile finally appeared on his face as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. He walked up to Su Zimo and bowed. "Young master, you finally returned." "Greetings, young master." The cultivators of Divine Phoenix Island reacted and bowed in respect. The status of the young master of Divine Phoenix Island could be said to be second only to one on the island, and he could mobilize thousands of troops. Even some conjoint body elders had to bow when they saw Su Zimo. Su Zimo's gaze shifted to the Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure. With a smile, the Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure bowed slightly to Su Zimo. "Greetings, young master." The smile of the Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure was very sincere and made one feel as though they were bathed in a spring breeze. Unknowingly, one would have a good impression and trust of him. "Young master, the Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure pointed to the corpses of the 3 demonic beasts in Su Zimo's hands. "If I'm not wrong, these 3 demonic beasts are famous demons of the South Sea. I don't know them." Su Zimo said, "They wanted to kill me at the bottom of the sea, but I killed them casually. The flesh of these 3 demons is precious, and I brought them up for the cultivators on the island to eat." Even if a demon was dead, its entire body was filled with treasures. Notwithstanding the bones, claws, and fangs, just the flesh of these demons contained extremely pure energy. Furthermore, the energy in the flesh of a demon that had just died was not that violent and was relatively gentle. It was most suitable for consumption. When the surrounding cultivators heard that, they cheered excitedly. Su Zimo tossed the 3 demons into the crowd casually. "Go and deal with them." "Young master, you're generous." The Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure could not help but praise. Those 3 demons were infamous in the South Sea region. "To think that they would be killed by you, young master." "Young master, you don't seem to have entered the conjoint body realm. To think that you would possess such combat strength. Truly impressive." If it were anyone else, hearing these praises, they would inevitably reveal some joy. However, Su Zimo had a calm expression and suddenly asked, "I've never met those 3 demons before. Why do you think they wanted to kill me?" "I don't know." The Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure said in a deep voice, "The reason is nothing more than revenge or treasures. I'm guessing that those 3 demons must have taken a fancy to some treasure on you. When they saw that you were only at the Dharma characteristic realm, they were greedy." That explanation made sense. Suddenly, the Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure took out a golden invitation from his storage bag and handed it to Su Zimo. A few days ago, Divine Phoenix Island received an invitation from the young master of East Ocean's Penglai Island to head to the East Ocean for a chat. East Ocean's Penglai Island? Su Zimo murmured softly and received the invitation. There was a line of red words on the invitation that seemed to be burning with flames and revealed a hint of sharpness. I heard that the young master of Divine Phoenix Island has been newly established. Congratulations. I'm also rather curious about you, fellow Taoist Longam. Right now, the hibiscus flowers of the East Ocean are blooming and it's a rare sight. I'd like to invite you over for a chat to admire the flowers and drink tea. In the cultivation world, there was a saying that there were 2 islands and 1 palace. The 2 islands referred to Divine Phoenix Island of the South Ocean and Penglai Island of the East Ocean. Mo Ing took the invitation and glanced at it before nodding. This is indeed an invitation from Penglai Island. Who's the young master of Penglai Island? Su Zimo asked. The young master of Penglai Island. His Dao title is Xian Shuang and he's at the conjoint body realm. Mo Ing said, there are similarities between Penglai Island and Divine Phoenix Island. Most of the cultivators on the island cultivate the Tao of the saber as well. However, the Tao of the saber left behind by the Saber Emperor is mostly bold and ferocious. As for the Tao of the saber of Penglai Island, it's sinister and cunning. How's the relationship between the 2 islands? Su Zimo asked again. It's all right. Mo Ing said, because the cultivators of the 2 islands cultivate the Tao of the saber, it's inevitable for them to spar. However, there's no deep hatred between them and no major conflicts have broken out. This invitation is rather polite. Why don't you head to Penglai Island to take a look, young master? Oh. Su Zimo raised his brows. Mo Ing explained, firstly, the young master is newly established. Even without the invitation of mighty figure Mysterious Frost, you'd have to head to Penglai Island to take a look sooner or later. Secondly, the hibiscus tree is blooming on Penglai Island. It's a rare opportunity. The hibiscus tree was a divine tree of the East Ocean. Legend has it that when the hibiscus flowers bloomed, a ball of flames would bloom on each flower and it was extremely stunning. There were even cultivators who comprehended the Tao by watching the hibiscus flowers bloom. Chapter 1394. Heavenly Phoenix, what do you think? Su Zimo asked in a seemingly casual manner. The mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix smiled. My thoughts are the same as Mo Ying's. I suggest that you head to Penglai Island for the appointment, young master. The saber technique legacy of Penglai Island is rather unique. If you can take a look, you might be able to gain new insights. Furthermore, you don't have to worry about your safety on this trip to Penglai. No matter how daring Penglai Island is, they wouldn't dare to target the young master of an island. Don't worry, young master. I'll accompany you on this trip and make sure you come back unscathed. The mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix said confidently. All right, Su Zimo nodded. Since that's the case, let's head to Penglai Island to take a look. Heavenly Phoenix, go make the arrangements. All right. The mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix bowed and retreated, disappearing before long. No one was more familiar with such matters than him. Su Zimo looked at the departing back view of the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix with a flickering gaze. In deep thought, he murmured softly, East Ocean, East Ocean. In less than an hour, everything was prepared. There were not many people accompanying them this time round. There were only 2 conjoint body mighty figures, the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix and Mo Ing. There were more than 10 Dharma Daojun left. Jing Ming and Jing Xing, who had an argument with Su Zimo in the Dragon Soul Palace, were among them. They arrived at the seaside. The mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix's fingers moved continuously and shot out divine lights that entered the sea. He hollered softly, "Come on out." Not long after he said that, a huge shadow appeared beneath the surface of the sea not far away. Immediately after, the surface of the sea bulged and a massive creature rose slowly. It carried a gigantic turtle shell on its back that resembled a massive continent. The mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix said, "This is a dragon turtle raised by Divine Phoenix Island. With it carrying us, we'll be able to reach Penglai Island in about 10 days. The dragon turtle was a pure-blooded ferocious beast. It was said that it had a trace of dragon blood in its body. Furthermore, this dragon turtle had already cultivated to the conjoint body realm. Su Zimo and the others landed on the back of the dragon turtle. The dragon turtle did not make a sound. Its thick limbs moved and broke through the huge waves, swimming towards the east at an astonishing speed. From afar, it looked like a moving continent. Su Zimo and the others floated on the sea for a total of 17 days. Over the past few days, they had encountered many powerful creatures in the sea. But after seeing this dragon turtle from Divine Phoenix Island, they all chose to avoid it. On this day, a large piece of land appeared before everyone's eyes. "We're here." The heavenly phoenix mighty figure slowly stood up. "EC, Peng Island." The patrolling cultivators on the island had long noticed the situation on the surface of the sea and immediately reported it. Not long after, a large group of cultivators came out from Penglai Island to welcome them. The person in the lead looked extremely young. He wore a long white robe and had an extraordinary bearing. He shouted from afar, "Is that the young master of Divine Phoenix Island, fellow Taoist Long Imo, up ahead? I'm Xian Shuang. I've heard a lot about you. Now that I've met you today, I'm truly impressed." Su Zimo smiled gently as well. "You're too polite, fellow Taoist Xian Shuang." Xian Shuang's gaze landed on the heavenly phoenix mighty figure and emoing behind Su Zimo. She nodded and said, "The two of you can be considered old acquaintances. How have you been?" "Greetings, fellow Taoist Xian Shuang." The heavenly phoenix mighty figure and Mo Ying bowed slightly. Although the three of them had the same cultivation realm, Xian Shuang was the young master of an island after all and had a noble status. As such, the two of them could not be rude. "Fellow Taoist Long Imo, please." Xian Shuang turned slightly and invited, "Now that the Fusang tree is blooming, you came at the right time. Follow me to the Flower Appreciation Pavilion to take a look." "All right," Su Zimo nodded and did not decline. Under Xian Shuang's lead, everyone advanced. Before long, a majestic mountain appeared before them. Lava spewed out from the peak of the mountain and hot air surged into the skies. "The Fusang tree is in this volcano," Xian Shuang explained. "Normally, this volcano will be silent. However, once the Fusang tree blooms, this volcano will erupt. This is not an ordinary volcano. This is the sacred fire mountain of Penglai Island. Even conjoint body mighty figures will be incinerated easily if they fall into the lava at the center of the volcano." At that moment, the Dharma Daojun who were following behind Su Zimo and the others were already drenched in sweat. They were still 5 kilometers away from the sacred fire mountain. However, the Dharma Daojun could not withstand it anymore. Xian Shuang smiled gently. "You guys stay here and guard. If you continue forward, your lives will be in danger. As for you, fellow Taoist Long Imo, you naturally don't have to worry." Although Su Zimo was also at the Dharma characteristic realm, he relied on his dragon's true body and the temperature did not affect him at all. "Fellow Taoist Long Imo, please follow me." Xian Shuang led the way and continued, "We can't see the Fusang tree from here. The ancestor of Penglai Island once braved dangers and built a flower viewing pavilion in an area of the sacred fire mountain. Once we ascend the sacred fire mountain and reach the flower pavilion, we'll be able to see the Fusang tree clearly." Su Zimo followed behind Xian Shuang with an indifferent expression. After the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix arrived, an unfathomable and strange smile appeared on his face. However, it disappeared quickly. The closer they were to the sacred fire mountain, the more obvious the terrifying heat was. The surroundings of the sacred fire mountain had long turned into ruins. There was no vegetation at all and it was dry and scorching. When they arrived at the foot of the sacred fire mountain, the gap between everyone was gradually revealed. Among them, the 3 conjoint body mighty figures behind the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix and Mo Ying were flushed and their foreheads were covered in sweat as they panted slightly. As for Su Zimo, the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix and Xian Shuang, their expressions were normal. Although the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix and Xian Shuang did not say anything, their hearts skipped a beat. They were at the conjoint body realm and were paragons of the conjoint body realm. One of them was the young master of an island while the other possessed the divine phoenix bone with a shocking bloodline. They could naturally withstand this temperature. However, Long Mo was only at the Dharma characteristic realm and his expression did not change either. Everyone ascended the mountain and continued forward. Rumble. Boom. After ascending the sacred fire mountain, everyone could clearly hear the rumbling sounds of the volcano erupting with a terrifying might. Amidst this roar, everyone felt a sense of insignificance. It was as though once the sacred fire mountain was enraged, lava would rain down and everyone would be burned to ashes. Everyone did not stop and were getting closer and closer to the peak. After walking for a while more, a gigantic pavilion finally appeared in front of them. It's right ahead. We'll be there soon. Xian Shuang pointed to the pavilion ahead and said as she quickened her steps. At that moment, the three conjoined body mighty figures behind Mo Ying and Xian Shuang were already panting and sweating profusely. Their lips were already chapped. Even Xian Shuang, the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix, and Su Zimo were blushing slightly. Su Zimo was secretly shocked. They had yet to reach the mouth of the volcano and the heat wave emitted by the lava was already so powerful. How terrifying would the lava that spewed out of the volcano be? Chapter 1395. Everyone, take a look. Xian Shuang stood in the pavilion and pointed forward. Everyone followed Xian Shuang's gaze. From this angle, they could see the huge volcano. The boiling magma inside was as red as blood, spewing out surging heat waves. It was extremely shocking. What was even more shocking was that there was a tall tree growing in the volcano. Its branches were covered in green leaves and blooming with flame-like flowers. The Fusang tree. This is the legendary divine tree of the East Sea. Mo Ying muttered softly. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have imagined that there would be a plant growing in such boiling magma. Araki Takashi, it's really you. Right then, a venomous voice filled with hatred sounded from outside the flower-admiring pavilion. Among the people in the pavilion, only Mo Ying was slightly surprised. He turned around and looked in the direction of the voice. He shouted, "Who's there?" The others, including Xian Shuang, Heavenly Phoenix, and even Su Zimo, did not look too surprised. It was as if they had already known that this would happen. Those who could recognize him as Araki Takashi must have met him before. On the Eastern Sea, there was only one person who had met him. The Golden Crow Third Prince. Su Zimo slowly turned around and looked at the Golden Crow Third Prince not far away with a mocking expression. He also said, "It's really you." Actually, when Su Zimo heard about the East Sea, he thought of the Golden Crow Third Prince. Rumor had it that the forbidden ground of the Golden Crow race was Pengle Island in the East Sea. From your tone, you've already guessed it? Heavenly Phoenix asked with a smile. Su Zimo said, "It's been hard on you to take action after enduring for so long. When did you start suspecting me?" Heavenly Phoenix was puzzled and asked, "I've never acted strangely towards you. Even you, the young master, were greeted by me first. Yes. When we first met, I already had my suspicions." Su Zimo said, "Back then, you asked me where the woman who gave me the divine phoenix bone went. I said she left a long time ago and never came back." "That's right, there is such a thing." The Heavenly Phoenix almighty figure nodded. Su Zimo continued, "When you heard the news, you looked a little regretful, but I vaguely felt that you let out a long sigh of relief and relaxed a lot. Because this way, you won't have to worry about attacking me." The Heavenly Phoenix Almighty could not help but laugh. He nodded and said, "Not bad. Your senses are really sharp. I can't even hide such a subtle change in emotion from you." Su Zimo continued, "After that, everything was out of your control. In a situation where you were completely unprepared, I suddenly grasped the Dragon Soul Saber and became the young master of Divine Phoenix Island." Hearing this, the Heavenly Phoenix Almighty figure's face immediately darkened. Su Zimo asked, "A few days ago, the 3 great demons that tried to kill me were also your handiwork, right?" "That's right. Now that things had come to this, there was no need to hide it anymore." The Heavenly Phoenix Almighty figure nodded. "At that time, I received a secret letter from Pengle Island saying that you were the legendary Tao Lord Araki Takashi. In the Battle of Heaven and Earth Valley, You killed many conjoint body mighty figures and shook the world. Naturally, I had my suspicions about that. Su Zimo continued, that's why you got those 3 great demons to kill me. You wanted to test my capabilities. That's right. The Heavenly Phoenix Almighty figure said, when I saw how quickly the 3 great demons died, I decided to join forces with Penglai Island. Heavenly Phoenix Almighty, how dare you collude with Penglai Island to harm the young master? Only now did Emoing react, and she couldn't help asking with an icy expression. Among everyone present, Emoing was probably the only one who was in the dark. Initially, Su Zimo thought that Emoing was bribed by the Heavenly Phoenix Almighty. After all, Emoing was the one who suggested that he come to Penglai Island initially. But now, it seemed like Emoing truly did not know. Heavenly Phoenix, you're someone of Divine Phoenix Island. How can you do such a disgraceful thing without letting down your conscience and the teachings that the Island Master has taught you all these years? Emoing was furious and questioned once more. Until now, she still could not understand how the Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure, who was originally gentle and kind to others, suddenly became like this. Conscience. The Heavenly Phoenix Almighty figure smirked and laughed self-deprecatingly. Let me ask you, is the Island Master worthy of his conscience for passing the position of young master to an outsider? Whoever can wield the Dragon Soul Saber will be the young master of Divine Phoenix Island. That's a rule set by the Saber Emperor. The Island Master is only acting according to the teachings of the ancestors. What's wrong with that? Emoing argued loudly. Foo-foo. The Heavenly Phoenix Almighty figure laughed. I was born and raised in Divine Phoenix Island. How much have I sacrificed for Divine Phoenix Island all these years? Just because I can't wield the Dragon Soul Saber, the Island Master passed the position of young master to an outsider? I refuse to accept this. Why? The Heavenly Phoenix Almighty figure had worked hard on Divine Phoenix Island. He did not expect that one day he would be trampled on by Su Zimo. He could not accept this at all. The Dragon Soul Saber belongs to me. The position of young master also belongs to me. The Heavenly Phoenix Almighty figure did not conceal the killing intent in his heart. He slowly said, I don't care who you are. If you dare to snatch something from me, then only death awaits you. The reason why you, Araki Takashi, can wield the Dragon Soul Saber is because an expert implanted the Divine Phoenix Bone into your body. As long as I can take away your Divine Phoenix Bone, with 2 Divine Phoenix Bones, I can wield the Dragon Soul Saber too. Emoing said coldly, Heavenly Phoenix, if you continue to be stubborn today, what's the use of you wielding the Dragon Soul Saber? You will be hunted down by everyone in Divine Phoenix Island and will never be able to return. Ha! The Heavenly Phoenix Almighty could not help but laugh. Emoing, you're too naive. Today, none of you can leave. With Araki Takashi dead, I'll push all of this away cleanly. The position of young master of Divine Phoenix Island can only be taken by me. The Heavenly Phoenix Almighty figure had long discussed everything with Penglai Island and the Golden Crow race. As long as Araki Takashi died, he would push this matter to the Golden Crow race and he would be able to stay out of it. By the time he returned to Divine Phoenix Island with the Dragon Soul Saber, who would know the truth? After saying so much, the Heavenly Phoenix Almighty figure finally vented all the anger that had been suppressed in his heart for all these years. He felt great. His gaze shifted and landed on Su Zimo's face. Su Zimo's expression still looked calm and composed, as though he did not realize that he was already in danger and could die at any time. This calmness caused the Heavenly Phoenix Almighty to frown and feel very frustrated. There's something that I don't understand. The Heavenly Phoenix Almighty figure glared at Su Zimo and said in a deep voice, Since you already suspect me, why did you follow me? That's because you want to plot against my Divine Phoenix Bone. I have the same thoughts. Su Zimo smiled as well. If you were honest, I wouldn't have attacked you. However, since you're courting death, don't blame me. Chapter 1396. Prior to this, even if Su Zimo suspected mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix, he could not do anything. As mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix had said, he had never displayed any hostility nor did he do anything out of line. Even if Su Zimo wanted to deal with mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix, he had no chance. However, things were different now. The reason why I didn't expose you was because I wanted to see how long more you could endure. Su Zimo had a mocking expression. Now, it seems like you're nothing more than that. Araki Takashi, you want to snatch my divine phoenix bone? Think about your own situation. Mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix sneered. Since I chose to lay my cards on the table with you, I'm fully prepared. Even if you're Tao Lord Araki Takashi, you'll have to die here today. Su Zimo smiled gently and shifted his gaze to the Golden Crow Third Prince. You want to kill me with this cripple? Tao Lord Araki Takashi. The moment he heard the word, cripple, the Golden Crow Third Prince's expression darkened as he grit his teeth. Back in the Battle of Heaven and Earth Valley, his third claw was crippled by the divine phoenix claw conjured by Su Zimo and had yet to regrow it even till now. Conjoint body mighty figures could regrow severed limbs. However, it was difficult for the third leg of the Golden Crow race or the Heavenly Eye race to recover once it was severely injured. That was equivalent to destroying more than half of the Golden Crow Third Prince's cultivation. Right now, although the Golden Crow Third Prince was still at the conjoint body realm, his combat strength was far inferior to before and he was ranked last among the 10 Golden Crows. With such a deep grudge, it would be difficult for him to appease his anger unless he skinned Su Zimo alive and ground his bones into ashes. Xian Shuang, as the young master of Penglai Island, you're actually helping the Golden Crow race to murder the young master of Divine Phoenix Island today? Moing refused to give up and questioned loudly. It's useless to say that. Su Zimo shook his head. Since Penglai Island invited me here, they have no intention of letting me leave alive. Smart, Xian Shuang nodded and praised him. Su Zimo changed the topic. He glanced at Xian Shuang and the others and said, however, you can't hurt me. On mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix's side, including Xian Shuang, the 3 conjoint body mighty figures behind him, and the Golden Crow Third Prince, there were only 6 mighty figures. Compared to the Heaven and Earth Valley, this was a far cry. Araki Takashi, don't worry. The Golden Crow Third Prince eerily smiled. Since I know you are the young master of Divine Phoenix Island, I naturally prepared a great gift for you. Activate. The Golden Crow Third Prince's feet shook as he shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, dazzling brilliance suddenly burst out from the surroundings of the flower-admiring pavilion. It was filled with an extremely strange power. Like shackles, it wrapped around Su Zimo's body. A formation had long been set up around the flower-admiring pavilion and was waiting for Su Zimo to enter. The strange thing was that the power of the formation only affected Su Zimo, but Moing did not feel anything. Suddenly, Su Zimo frowned. When he was trapped in the formation, he actually felt that his bloodline was being suppressed by a strange force. Even his essence spirit was not spared. This formation is a formation passed down from the upper realm of the primordial era. It's called the Eight Gates Dragonlock Formation and it's specially targeted against dragons. The Golden Crow Third Prince said, how is it, Araki Takashi? Do you feel that your bloodline and essence spirit are imprisoned and can't be activated? Your dermic arts, secret skills, divine powers and bloodline are all crippled. Right now, you're equivalent to half a cripple. Mo Ying's expression was grim as he stood in front of Su Zimo protectively. Su Zimo did not say anything as well. Ha! When he saw that, the Golden Crow Third Prince was even more pleased. He thought that he had complete control of the situation and could not help but laugh into the skies. Araki Takashi, don't think about breaking the formation, the Golden Crow Third Prince continued. The reason why this formation was built here is because it borrowed the power of the lava of the sacred fire mountain. Given your strength, you won't be able to break through this formation. Of course, I've also heard that your attainments in formations are extremely high. Unfortunately, I won't give you the time or chance to break the formation. Golden Crow Third Prince, you're too naive, Su Zimo said slowly. I've said it before, the few of you and this Dragonlock formation won't be able to kill me. Before he could finish his sentence, two blazing flames burned in Su Zimo's eyes and two scarlet divine lights shot towards the Golden Crow Third Prince. Illumination Eye. The Golden Crow Third Prince was so scared that his laughter stopped abruptly. The Golden Crow Third Prince reverted to his true form right away and transformed into a golden beam of light that fled into the distance. The golden beam of light paused in midair. Immediately after, there was a shrill scream. The Golden Crow Third Prince's figure appeared once more. One of his golden wings had been pierced by the Illumination Eye and was charred. The speed of the Golden Crow race was one of the top among the primordial 9 races. Although the Golden Crow Third Prince's combat strength was reduced after losing his third leg, it did not affect his movement technique. Even so, his visual technique arrived instantly and pierced one of the Golden Crow Third Prince's wings. If he had reacted slower, he would have been reduced to a corpse. Su Zimo felt that it was a pity. He was aiming to kill the Golden Crow Third Prince. Of course, his visual technique this time round was not completely fruitless. Apart from severely injuring the Golden Crow Third Prince, he even killed a conjoint body mighty figure of Penglai Island behind him. Su Zimo's attack was extremely sudden and without warning. Coupled with the fact that he released his visual technique instantly, he was extremely fast. Although the Golden Crow Third Prince reacted and escaped first, the conjoint body mighty figure behind him was caught off guard. In a stunned expression, his glabella was pierced by the Illumination Eye. A huge hole was burned in the head of the mighty figure, let alone his essence spirit. How could this be? Xian Shuang frowned slightly and felt uneasy. Everyone, don't worry, the Golden Crow Third Prince shouted. Araki Takashi's visual technique can be released without the use of his essence spirit. After releasing this visual technique, Araki Takashi won't have any trump cards left. Is that so? Su Zimo laughed and swiped his storage bag, retrieving a long saber with a chilling aura and an unbridled might. The blade was almost transparent and the dragon bones within could be seen. Dragon Soul Saber. Su Zimo gripped the Dragon Soul Saber and slashed forward. Swoosh! Layers of saber chi burst forth and formed a torrential wave that engulfed the Golden Crow Third Prince and the others. Draconic chi circled around the saber, forming a divine dragon. It surged in the raging waves, exuding boundless majesty as it charged towards the crowd. How could this be? The Golden Crow Third Prince and the others were shocked. The fact that the saber contained such a powerful intent meant that Su Zimo's essence spirit was not restricted at all. Chapter 1397. It had to be said that array formations passed down from the upper world of the primordial era were indeed extremely powerful. After activating, Su Zimo's bloodline was completely locked. No matter how he channeled, he could not activate his bloodline. Under normal circumstances, his essence spirit would not be able to escape the fate of being locked either. However, the consciousness of the dragon's true bodies was truly terrifying. Back then, when Wu Xie detonated his essence spirit to release the life-severing curse, Qinglian's true body was almost killed. However, the true bodies of the dragons were not affected at all. In the consciousness of the dragon's true bodies, there was not only a dormant divine turtle, but also 3 balls of light with terrifying auras. The power of the 8 Gates Dragon Lock formation was wiped out by the 3 balls of light the moment it descended into the consciousness. Therefore, although Su Zimo could not activate his bloodline, his essence spirit was not restricted at all. Even without his killing weapon of his body and bloodline, he still had many powerful trump cards that he could use. The Dragon Soul Saber slashed out and a tsunami and dragon roar burst forth at the same time with a terrifying might. Humph! Xian Shuang harumphed coldly and chided softly, "You're asking for trouble by using the Sea Calming Saber technique on Sacred Fire Mountain." Xian Shuang summoned his destiny dermic weapon, a saber as well. The saber looked extremely extraordinary. It did not have the thickness of the Dragon Soul Saber and was relatively narrow and slender, resembling a venomous python that wanted to devour humans. Channeling his mental cultivation technique, Xian Shuang slashed viciously against the incoming wave. Xing! A scorching saber chi burst forth and split the incoming wave into two, producing an ear-piercing sound of water and fire colliding. Even the divine dragon conjured by the Dragon Soul Saber was slain. As a conjoint body mighty figure and the young master of Penglai Island, Xian Shuang was naturally a top-tier paragon and monster incarnate. He was stronger than the titular disciples of the Super Sex. However, he was not at the level where he could compete with Su Zimo in terms of saber Dao. The reason why he was able to break through Su Zimo's saber technique was because their cultivation techniques countered each other. Xian Shuang's cultivation technique was of the fire attribute. On the sacred fire mountain, the power of this cultivation technique had reached its peak. On the contrary, every slash of the sea calming scroll contained the concept of the ocean. Once the saber technique was used, its power would be weakened on the sacred fire mountain. Su Zimo's expression did not change. He sheathed his saber and struck again. This saber strike was like a heavenly steed soaring through the skies, leaving no trace behind. However, at that moment, the entire world seemed to have stopped. Xian Shuang saw the Dragon Soul's saber slowly chopping down from above her head, but she could not move at all. Xian Shuang finally looked frightened. According to the legends, it was the most terrifying saber art in the inheritance of the Saber Emperor. Over the years, the cultivators of the two islands had sparred with one another countless times, but none of them had managed to execute the move. In fact, in the minds of the crowd, that saber technique had already turned into an illusory legend. Now, when the ocean-suppressing strike arrived, Xian Shuang finally felt the fear of seeing the blade coming but not being able to dodge it. Clang! Right then, the sound of a saber being unsheathed rang out. An incomparably stunning saber light descended and the saber intent was identical to the ocean-suppressing strike. It slashed toward Su Zimo's Dragon Soul Saber. The two saber intents that were almost identical collided, killing, canceling out and devouring each other. Xian Shuang broke free from the shroud of that terrifying power instantly. Her expression was uncertain and she broke out in cold sweat unknowingly. Su Zimo's gaze narrowed slightly. Heavenly Phoenix. This scene was somewhat out of his expectations. I didn't expect you to have comprehended the ocean-suppressing strike as well. Su Zimo said. Just now, it was the mighty figure of the Heavenly Phoenix who released the ocean-suppressing strike to save Xian Shuang. The mighty figure of the Heavenly Phoenix curled her lips and said proudly, Araki Takashi, you've underestimated me. This is not the only thing that can surprise you. The mighty figure of the Heavenly Phoenix was extremely well hidden. Even Mo-ing did not know his true strength, let alone Su Zimo. Mo-ing did not know that the mighty figure of the Heavenly Phoenix had also cultivated the ocean-suppressing strike. Oh, what other tricks do you have? Su Zimo raised his brows. The mighty figure of the Heavenly Phoenix said in a deep voice, Today, I joined forces with Penglai and the Golden Crow race to ensure that nothing goes wrong. Araki Takashi, without the 8 Gates Dragon Lock formation, you might not be a match for me even in a one-on-one fight. Is that so? Su Zimo smiled and said, Then take this move of mine. Su Zimo activated his spirit consciousness and a divine light burst forth from his glabella into the sky. The power of divine power spread. Boom! A loud bang sounded from the sky. The clouds exploded and a thick stone pillar descended from the skies, emitting a terrifying might as it charged towards the mighty figure of the Heavenly Phoenix. The stone pillar was grayish-white with a 5-clawed divine dragon crawling on it. It was lifelike and seemed as though it could suppress all races. This was the second innate divine power that Su Zimo had comprehended, the ancestral dragon divine pillar. With the descent of this innate divine power, the battle erupted. The two conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island surrounded Mo-ing. Although Mo-ing was alone, she was not disadvantaged against two conjoint body mighty figures. As for the Golden Crow Third Prince, the mighty figure of the Heavenly Phoenix and Xian Shuang, they were against Su Zimo. The Golden Crow Third Prince and Xian Shuang released their trump cards one after another and attacked the ancestral dragon divine pillar. At the same time, the mighty figure of the Heavenly Phoenix channeled her bloodline and roared into the skies. A loud phoenix cry burst forth and her blood chi surged as she slashed at the ancestral dragon divine pillar. Boom! An earth-shattering boom rang out. The ancestral dragon divine pillar was shattered by the three of them. Haha! The mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix roared in laughter. The legendary monster incarnate of history is nothing much. I'll let you witness my capabilities. The moment he said that, the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix flashed and arrived before Su Zimo instantly, drawing his saber and slashing. But not only did that slash produce layers of saber intent, the sound of a tsunami even echoed from the body of the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix. Tsunami blood. The tsunami of the bloodline resonated with the tsunami of the saber intent, causing the power of the slash to increase greatly. Su Zimo raised his dragon soul saber and slashed in reverse. Clang! Sparks flew when the saber collided. Su Zimo shuddered and could not help but take a step back. After all, his cultivation realm was a major cultivation realm lower than the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix. Furthermore, his bloodline was sealed and his melee combat strength was naturally inferior to the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix. At that moment, Xian Shuang closed in and stabbed out as well. Compared to the saber technique of the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix, that slash was crafty and impossible to defend against. Su Zimo retreated once more. As for the Golden Crow Third Prince, he relied on the agility of his movement technique and paced around Su Zimo continuously, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Although his wings were injured, he was still a threat to Su Zimo. The three mighty figures joined forces and completely had the upper hand, controlling the situation. Su Zimo had a calm expression. Even though he was disadvantaged, there was no hint of panic in his eyes, as though everything was under his control. Chapter 1398. Su Zimo's melee combat strength was greatly reduced with his bloodline sealed. For a moment, he was suppressed by the three mighty figures of Heavenly Phoenix. However, even if he could not use his bloodline, Su Zimo could still remain undefeated with his physique that cultivated the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness and his omniscient spirit perception. Heavenly Phoenix, is that all you've got? In the midst of the battle, Su Zimo was still able to divert his attention and chuckled. The mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix's expression turned cold as he said coldly, "Araki Takashi, since you're bent on dying, I'll let you witness my true strength." Screech! The blood chi within the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix surged as he reared his head and howled. His howl penetrated metal and cracked stone. It was like the cry of a phoenix and contained endless might. Behind him, a divine bird that burned with raging flames gradually appeared. It flapped its wings with a dignified expression and a cold gaze, as though it was a divine being that had descended into the world. The divine bird was scarlet and burned with flames. It did not have any other feathers and was incomparably divine. The mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix stood in midair and looked insufferably arrogant under the illumination of the divine bird behind him. Bloodline phenomenon. Mo Ing was shocked when he caught sight of that from the corner of his eye and could not help but exclaim. Su Zimo narrowed his eyes slightly but did not reveal much of a surprised expression. When he saw the bloodline phenomenon behind the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix, it confirmed a guess in his heart. Araki Takashi, the bloodline flowing in my body is the bloodline of the divine phoenix and is not weaker than yours. The mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix said slowly, "The only thing you're better than me in is that there was once an expert who defied the heavens and changed your fate by attaching the divine phoenix bone into your body. Otherwise, you would be inferior to me. You wouldn't have been able to wield the dragon soul saber before me either." True enough. The bloodline of the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix was indeed the bloodline of the divine phoenix. Actually, the Tao title of the mighty figure of Heavenly Phoenix had already revealed some information. Furthermore, the Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure had once told Su Zimo that half of his body did not have the bloodline of the human race. The Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure said, "Back in the Dragon Soul Palace, I released the divine phoenix blood essence and wanted to fuse it with the divine phoenix bone. If I succeed, I will transform into the phoenix bloodline that is comparable to the forbidden races. Su Zimo was enlightened and gradually understood something. In the primordial era, there were 3 taboos in Tianhuang mainland. In fact, the dragon phoenix, the Kuan Peng, and the Ho were not the only forbidden races. The phoenix was also a forbidden race, but it had never appeared on planet Tianhuang. There were many divine phoenixes and divine phoenixes, but only 1 in a billion would be born. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure shook his head slightly. A trace of hatred flashed across his eyes as he said, "Unfortunately, he still failed." Su Zimo's divine phoenix bone had already fused into his body. Even so, he had not been able to transform into the dragon phoenix bloodline. The divine phoenix bone of the heavenly phoenix mighty figure was merely a bone fragment. It was wishful thinking if he wanted to create the phoenix bloodline through the fusion of bloodlines. However, Araki Takashi, you can die in peace now. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure said, "I'll definitely not waste the divine phoenix bone in your body. With 2 divine phoenix bones, the chances of me transforming will increase greatly." "Don't waste your breath on him," Xian Shuang urged. "Hurry up and kill him. I don't want anything else to happen." "Kill." The heavenly phoenix mighty figure hollered, and the divine phoenix behind him soared into the skies, charging towards Su Zimo with raging flames. At the same time, the heavenly phoenix mighty figure and the other 2 attacked at the same time and charged towards Su Zimo once more, releasing their most ferocious attacks. If it was any other time, Su Zimo could naturally fight against the divine phoenix phenomenon head-on when he activated his bloodline and created a bloodline phenomenon. But now that his bloodline was sealed, he could not use his bloodline phenomenon either. Su Zimo had a calm expression as he looked at the 3 of them charging over. He conjured a hand seal with his fingertips and waved his hands in front of him, causing a gray mist to spread out from his palms. The gray mist emitted a strange dermic power fluctuation and enveloped the 3 of them like a gigantic swamp. Baron. Right now, in the central region of Baron, the speed at which one's lifespan was reduced could reach 1,000 years per breath. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure and Xian Shuang were both at the conjoint body realm at a young age and had cultivated for thousands of years. They still had more than 10,000 years of lifespan. However, even Mahayana patriarchs were unwilling to endure the reduction of their lifespan, let alone conjoint body mighty figures with a lifespan of 20,000 years. Furthermore, a single breath was 1,000 years. That speed was way too fast and nobody could withstand it. "It's that dermic art." The Golden Crow Third Prince's pupils constricted. When he saw the gray mist surging in Su Zimo's palm, he reacted right away and sped into the distance. After all, he had witnessed the might of Baron in Heaven and Earth Valley. Therefore, he was prepared and escaped right away when he saw that something was amiss. However, the heavenly phoenix mighty figure and Xian Shuang did not recognize the power of Baron. When the gray ripples spread over and engulfed the 2 of them were greatly shaken and revealed a look of horror. "Lifespan? My lifespan!" Xian Shuang exclaimed. Although he had a noble status and was knowledgeable as the young master of Penglai Island, he was at a loss when he suddenly encountered such a situation. His lifespan was decreasing way too quickly. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure was shocked as well. His first reaction was still to channel his essence spirit and bloodline to condense dermic powers to fight against Baron. However, he realized that the domineering dermic art was such that even the blood of the divine phoenix flowed in his body could not do anything about it. At the same time, the divine phoenix phenomenon had already descended in front of Su Zimo. The Baron dermic art had no effect on the divine phoenix phenomenon. Su Zimo harumphed coldly and extended his right arm. He opened his palm and grabbed the divine phoenix phenomenon. Boom! The divine phoenix phenomenon collided heavily against Su Zimo's right hand and let out a deafening bang as flames surged into the skies. Su Zimo's face was pale. His entire arm was burnt by the divine phoenix phenomenon until his flesh was lacerated. If not for the divine phoenix bone, his entire arm would have been crippled. Although his bloodline was sealed, The existence of the divine phoenix bone blocked most of the power of the divine phoenix phenomenon. He's not dead yet? The pupils of the heavenly phoenix mighty figure constricted slightly as he retreated, wanting to escape from the range of Baron. Right then, Su Zimo charged out from the flames. Stepping on the gray ripples of Baron, he arrived before the heavenly phoenix mighty figure instantly. Within the range of Araki Takashi's dermic art, the movements of other cultivators would be extremely slow. However, it did not affect Su Zimo at all. Trying to escape? With a cold expression, Su Zimo suddenly reached out and grabbed the head of the heavenly phoenix mighty figure. Go! The heavenly phoenix mighty figure slapped his storage bag and withdrew a scarlet bone fragment, injecting dermic powers into it. The bone fragment shone with a divine light and charged towards Su Zimo. It was the divine phoenix bone of the heavenly phoenix mighty figure. All right. Su Zimo's gaze intensified. I've been waiting for your divine phoenix bone. Chapter 1399. A bronze square tripod flew out from Su Zimo's glabella. It was filled with cracks and emitted an ancient aura, as though it had passed through the primordial era. The bronze square tripod blocked in front of Su Zimo. Although the scarlet divine light released by the divine phoenix bone in the hands of the heavenly phoenix mighty figure was powerful and could even burn through the body of a mighty figure, it did not cause any ripples when it collided with the bronze square tripod. Swoosh. On the contrary, the bronze square tripod collided fiercely towards the heavenly phoenix mighty figure under Su Zimo's control. Normally, the heavenly phoenix mighty figure could have easily avoided the collision by channeling his dermic powers and bloodline. However, at that moment he was trapped in the gray fog of Baron and his movements were slow. He could not dodge the bronze square tripod at all. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure reacted extremely quickly as well. He swung his saber and slashed towards the bronze square tripod. At the same time, he channeled the divine phoenix bone and released another scarlet flame that collided with the bronze square tripod. Clang! Sparks flew when the saber struck the bronze square tripod. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure shuddered and felt his arm go numb. His saber trembled endlessly and almost flew out of his hands. That saber was his destiny dermic weapon and also a connate dermic weapon. It was refined with the blood of the divine phoenix and could even fight against the dragon soul saber. However, at that moment, the saber buzzed and trembled when it struck the bronze square tripod, as though it was wailing. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure could not care less. Making use of the recoil from the clash, he channeled his bloodline and dermic powers and retreated, breaking free of the barren area. However, the moment he leaped up, he felt a figure flash before him. Su Zimo had already arrived before him and coiled around his body like an anaconda. Su Zimo's expression was cold as he took a deep breath of air and exerted strength all over his body. Anaconda coil. Every single muscle on Su Zimo's body expanded and could compress the space of the heavenly phoenix mighty figure continuously or even kill him. The heavenly phoenix almighty being struggled subconsciously, but she couldn't break free. He felt that Su Zimo's body, just now, was weak and powerless, but after he wrapped himself around him, he instantly became as hard as metal and unshakable. Not good. The heavenly phoenix almighty figure felt his scalp tingle, and his heart trembled. Araki Takashi wants to kill me. Under the intense sense of danger, the heart of the heavenly phoenix mighty figure palpitated intensely, as though it was about to explode. His bloodline surged as he reared his head back and let out a resounding phoenix cry. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure felt the threat of death. This bloodline eruption was already going all out. Su Zimo attacked with all his might. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure struggled with all her might. The two of them were madly wrestling with each other. If Su Zimo's bloodline had not been sealed, he would have been able to kill the heavenly phoenix powerhouse in the blink of an eye. However, at this moment, Su Zimo was unable to use his bloodline and was actually in a stalemate with the heavenly phoenix almighty figure. At this moment, the barren spell had already dissipated. All of a sudden, two golden beams of light suddenly appeared outside the flower-admiring pavilion. Like lightning, they arrived instantly and emitted endless killing intent. A terrifying spirit consciousness pressure descended. Mo Ying's heart skipped a beat and her expression changed. This pressure even caused her to feel waves of suffocation. Not good, a half-martial ancestor has descended. Mo Ying was alarmed. From the corner of her eye, her heart sank when she caught sight of the two golden lights. The two golden lights surged with blood chi and their auras were identical to the Golden Crow Third Prince. They were incomparably scorching and were clearly from the Golden Crow race. Half-martial ancestor experts of the primordial races. It's over. Mo Ying felt despair. At the same time, Su Zimo sensed danger as well. The habitat of the Golden Crow race was on Penglai Island. It was not surprising that two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race had descended. If Su Zimo's bloodline was not sealed, he would most likely be doomed against the half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race. Furthermore, he could not use his bloodline. Now that he had all his trump cards, he had no chance of winning against two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race. Araki Takashi, you're dead for sure. Ha! The mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix could not help but laugh. Su Zimo had a calm expression and did not say anything. When he saw that the two golden lights were about to reach him, an extremely terrifying spirit consciousness fluctuation emanated from Su Zimo's glabella. Suddenly, a palm-sized scarlet scale floated out from his glabella in the shape of a crescent moon. Essence Spirit Secret Skill, Reverse Scale. The pupils of the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix constricted violently. He could sense a strong aura of death from the scale. In his consciousness, his essence spirit was trembling uncontrollably. Thankfully, the essence spirit secret skill was not targeted at him but the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race. Otherwise, the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix believed that he would definitely die. The two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race were shocked as well and stopped in their tracks. Under normal circumstances, a single essence spirit secret skill of the Dharma Daojun would not be able to threaten them. A single spirit consciousness from them could shatter the other party's essence spirit secret skill. However, the scale was different. Even the two half-martial progenitors of the Golden Crow tribe felt slightly threatened. You don't know what's good for you. The two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race hollered and conjured their essence spirit secret skills as well. Two three-legged golden crows that burned with golden flames flew out and collided with the scale. The three essence spirit secret skills collided silently. However, the surrounding void was trembling and twisting. Even the light was being shifted. Cracks appeared on the reverse scale and it shattered silently. Anyone who touched the reverse scale of a dragon would die. Although the reverse scale was strong, there was a limit to it. The essence spirit secret skills of the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race shattered the reverse scale. Of course, the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race grunted as well and felt a sharp pain in their essence spirits. Although they were not injured, they were still shocked. A single Dharma Daojuan's essence spirit nearly injured their essence spirits. What would happen if that person were to advance to the conjoint body realm? Kill! The two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race hollered and attacked once more. The two half-martial ancestors grabbed with their palms and incomparably pure dermic powers condensed. Instantly, a spear appeared in their palms. At the conjoint body realm, dermic powers were already cultivated to the limits. A casual grab was the strongest dermic art. The spear burned with golden essence sun fire that was incomparably hot, as though it could incinerate everything. Swoosh! Two long spears were thrown out and in an instant, they were right in front of Su Zimo. Su Zimo could only release his arm and summon the bronze square tripod to block in front of him. At the same time, a vicious glint flashed through his eyes. He wielded the Dragon Soul Saber in his other hand and swiped it forward silently, causing ripples to appear. Since Su Zimo was fighting against the two half-martial ancestors, the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix naturally broke free from her restraints and could not help but feel relieved. He was about to escape. All of a sudden, He caught sight of something from the corner of his eye. Ripples seemed to appear in the void behind him, and they had already arrived behind him. Boom! The two spears collided heavily with the bronze square tripod with a deafening bang. The bronze square tripod was indestructible. Although it defended against the two dermic power spears, it could not defend against the power of two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race. Su Zimo shuddered, and the sound of bones cracking could be heard from his arm as it burst into a blood mist. His entire arm was completely crippled by the impact of this attack. Chapter 1400. With his arm crippled, the bronze square tripod fell to the ground. Su Zimo no longer had the energy to pick up the bronze square tripod. That was because this was not the only terrifying attack of the Golden Crow half-martial ancestor. The two spears collided with the bronze square tripod and shattered. However, the scorching golden flames exploded and devoured Su Zimo instantly. The sun essence fire condensed by a half-martial ancestor was much stronger than the Golden Crow third prince's. His fur and flesh were charred, and he was completely enveloped by the sun essence fire, turning into a gigantic human-shaped fireball. Exclamation point! At the same time, another ball of blood exploded on the battlefield. Ah! The mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix shrieked. It turned out that when Su Zimo defended against the two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors, his slash was targeted at the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix. A bloody arm flew into the air. Su Zimo was in intense pain from the sun essence fire. However, he did not make a sound. Gritting his teeth, he threw down the Dragon Soul Saber casually and grabbed the severed arm of the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix. To be fair, the pain of being burned by the sun essence fire was not even a tenth of the pain in the three tribulations domain of the Tao inheritance ground. The pain of the bone-chilling wind and the burning of the karmic fire was not something that anyone could endure. He's not dead yet? The expressions of the two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors turned cold as they transformed into two streaks of golden light and charged towards Su Zimo. There was no way they would let Su Zimo live. Within the golden flames, a mocking look flashed through Su Zimo's eyes. The moment the two Golden Crow half-martial ancestors moved, he moved as well. He did not advance. Instead, he leaped down towards the volcano not far behind him. "Young master!" Seeing this, Mo-ing cried out in alarm. Bang! She was distracted and was struck by a dermic art of a mighty figure of Penglai Island. She fell to the ground and spat out blood with a dim expression. Mo-ing did not seem to feel the pain on her body and merely looked in the direction of the volcano in a daze. Su Zimo's figure had already disappeared in the billowing heat. One had to know that the temperature emitted by the sacred fire mountain was so high that even they couldn't withstand it, let alone the magma in the volcano. Even the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow clan would most likely perish if they fell in. When the rest of the crowd saw this scene, they were also stunned. "I didn't expect Araki Takashi to be so stubborn. He would rather kill himself than be killed by us," said Xian Shuang. "He really got off easy," the Golden Crow third prince said hatefully. The Golden Crow third prince could not vent the anger in his heart after failing to skin Su Zimo alive and grind his bones into dust. No, it's definitely not that simple. At this moment, the voice of the heavenly phoenix almighty being rang out. He was panting slightly, and blood was still flowing from his severed arm. He could not regrow his arm. The dragon aura on the Dragon Soul Saber still affected his wound quite a bit. The heavenly phoenix almighty's aura was weak, but he still urged, "Go to the volcano and take a look. Araki Takashi might still have some tricks up his sleeve." "That's right." The Golden Crow third prince also reacted and said, "This Araki Takashi is extremely tough. In the previous battle at Heaven and Earth Valley, he was exiled into the void by a human half-martial ancestor but did not die." A half-martial ancestor of the Golden Crow clan snorted coldly. "What temperature is the magma of the sacred fire mountain? Even if we fall in, we will definitely die, let alone Dharma Dao Jun." Despite saying that, everyone still endured the heat emitted by the sacred fire mountain and walked toward the volcano. When they arrived at the volcano, the sweat that the Golden Crow third prince, Xian Shuang, and the others had just started to evaporate, and their skin became dry and cracked. A layer of sweat appeared on the cheeks of the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow clan. Everyone focused their gazes and looked into the depths of the volcano. Scarlet magma surged in the depths of the volcano. Su Zimo's eyes were tightly shut and more than half of his body was drowned by the magma. His flesh and blood had already been burned into nothingness. Only his skeleton was left. However, it began to melt under the terrifying magma. Before long, the magma surged and engulfed Su Zimo completely. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that. With that, there would be no accidents. Everyone retreated one after another. They had to endure immense torment if they stayed at the edge of the volcano for even a single moment. How is it? Is Araki Takashi still alive? The heavenly phoenix mighty figure's arm was severed and she did not advance. When she saw that everyone had retreated so quickly, she asked hurriedly, "He's already dead." Xian Shuang nodded and said with certainty, "From today onwards, there will be no more Araki Takashi in the cultivation world." He died so easily? The heavenly phoenix mighty figure was still in disbelief. Turning to the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race, she could not help but say, "Seniors, you should have been a step faster to stop Araki Takashi from jumping into the volcano." "Why? Are you blaming us?" One of the half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race had a cold expression and said coldly, "And no, that's not what I meant." The heavenly phoenix mighty figure was shocked and explained hurriedly, "Araki Takashi has too many secrets and treasures on him after all. It's a pity for him to be buried in the volcano just like that." A half-martial ancestor of the Golden Crow race harumphed coldly. "There's nothing to pity. Araki Takashi's bronze tripod and dragon soul saber were left on the mountain. But the heavenly phoenix mighty figure hesitated. "But what?" The other half-martial ancestor of the Golden Crow race sneered and asked, "My arm, Fufu." Before the heavenly phoenix mighty figure could finish, he was interrupted by a cold laugh. The half-martial ancestor of the Golden Crow race pursed his lips. "It's just an arm. After you recuperate for a few days and the dragon chi around your wound dissipates, it'll naturally grow back." But the heavenly phoenix mighty figure wanted to explain. The half-martial ancestor of the Golden Crow race frowned slightly and waved his hand with an impatient expression. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure sighed softly. For some reason, he felt uneasy. Indeed, a severed arm was not considered a serious injury. However, the key point was that he was holding a piece of divine phoenix bone in his palm. The situation back then changed rapidly and Araki Takashi did not even use his full strength to defend against the attacks of the two half-martial ancestors to sever his arm. Later on, Araki Takashi had an arm crippled under the attacks of the two half-martial ancestors as well. In fact, Araki Takashi chose to abandon the bronze square tripod and dragon soul saber just so that he could free up his hand to obtain the divine phoenix bone. Could Araki Takashi have expended so much effort and did not hesitate to be severely injured and abandon so many treasures just to obtain the divine phoenix bone? Thereafter, he took it and committed suicide in the volcano? That did not make sense. Of course, since Xian Shuang and the others witnessed Araki Takashi's death with their own eyes, there should not be any surprises. Although they managed to kill Araki Takashi in this battle, they suffered heavy losses as well. As for the heavenly phoenix mighty figure, he did not gain anything at all. Initially, he wanted to obtain Araki Takashi's divine phoenix bone. Even if he could not refine the phoenix bloodline, his combat strength would increase tremendously. To think that he would lose his divine phoenix bone as well. Chapter 1401. Second brother, fourth brother, why are the two of you here? The Golden Crow third prince frowned slightly in displeasure. I've already set up the 8 gates dragon lock formation in advance. Araki Takashi's bloodline is sealed and there's no way he can escape. There were many Golden Crow clansmen, but the younger generation of each generation was led by the 10 Golden Crows. The two half-martial ancestors were also two of the 10 golden crows. One of them was the second prince and the other was the fourth prince. Among the 10 golden crows, their cultivation realms were different. However, even the weakest was a conjoint body mighty figure. Third brother, if we hadn't come, you would have been killed by Araki Takashi. The golden crow fourth prince laughed. Humph. The golden crow third prince clenched his fists. Don't think that I don't know what you guys are up to. You're just here to fight for Araki Takashi's treasures. The 10 golden crows were filled with intense competition and not all of them were as close as siblings. It was common for them to scheme against each other. The golden crow second prince did not say anything the entire time. Instead, he walked to the bronze square tripod and lifted it up. So heavy! The golden crow second prince's heart skipped a beat. Araki Takashi was dead but he left behind two treasures. One was this bronze square tripod and the other was Divine Phoenix Island's Dragon Soul Saber. The Dragon Soul Saber was famous. There was even a saber emperor who said that anyone who could wield the Dragon Soul Saber would be the young master of Divine Phoenix Island. However, in the eyes of the golden crow second prince, this bronze square tripod was even more precious and mysterious than the Dragon Soul Saber. The bronze square tripod looked completely crippled and was filled with cracks. However, it was precisely this bronze square cauldron that had resisted the attacks of two half-martial ancestors. The golden crow second prince closed his eyes and gathered his spirit consciousness, wanting to erase the spirit consciousness mark left behind by Araki Takashi on the bronze square tripod. The bronze square tripod could only become his treasure if he erased the spirit consciousness mark left behind by Araki Takashi. On the other side, the golden crow fourth prince walked forward and lifted the Dragon Soul Saber. He grinned at the golden crow third prince. Third brother, this Dragon Soul Saber is mine. The golden crow third prince snorted coldly with an ugly expression. Ever since the Battle of Heaven and Earth Valley, he had lost his third leg and fled back to Penglai Island with serious injuries. His status in the Golden Crow tribe had plummeted. The golden crow that had lost its third leg had lost its most powerful trump card. The golden crow third prince originally wanted to suppress Araki Takashi this time and obtain the treasures and cultivation techniques on Araki Takashi before making a breakthrough. He didn't expect that he wouldn't be able to reap any benefits this time. He was intercepted by two of the 10 golden crows. The golden crow fourth prince walked forward with a smile. The moment his palm touched the Dragon Soul Saber, something happened. Clang, clang, clang. The blade suddenly trembled violently and burst out with violent and sharp saber chi. The chi of the ancestral dragon filled the air and emitted a powerful pressure. Caught off guard, the golden crow fourth prince's palm was cut by the saber chi of the Dragon Soul Saber, causing it to bleed. An ownerless weapon dares to be so arrogant. The golden crow fourth prince retracted his smile and his expression turned cold. The wounds on his palm did not affect a half-martial ancestor at all. In the blink of an eye, the wounds healed. The golden crow fourth prince channeled his bloodline dermic powers and condensed golden sun essence fire in his palm, burning the Dragon Soul Saber continuously. The saber chi of the Dragon Soul Saber was instantly burned into nothingness. Even the chi of the ancestral dragon could not withstand it. Roar! However, the Dragon Soul Saber was still extremely irritable. When it sensed the unfamiliar bloodline, its ancestral dragon aura erupted wildly. It actually condensed into an ancestral dragon phantom in midair and let out a loud and clear dragon roar at the golden crow fourth prince. Beast! The golden crow fourth prince said hatefully, "How dare you be so noisy in front of me?" The golden crow fourth prince opened his mouth and spat out a scarlet gold flame that devoured the ancestral dragon instantly and burned wildly. The ancestral dragon phantom let out a series of tragic cries. The power of the Dragon Soul Saber could not stop the half-martial ancestor of the golden crow race in the end. Hee hee. When he saw that, the golden crow third prince could not help but laugh. The golden crow second and fourth princes encountered considerable obstacles when they wanted to obtain Araki Takashi's two treasures. The golden crow third prince gloated when he saw the two of them suffer. What should we do with that woman? Xian Shuang's gaze landed on Mo Ying in the flower-admiring pavilion. Kill! The heavenly phoenix mighty figure was expressionless and merely said a single word. Xian Shuang shook his head gently. It's a pity to kill such a beautiful person and a conjoint body mighty figure. That woman has to die. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure's tone was firm. If Mo Ying returned to Divine Phoenix Island alive, he would be implicated as a heavenly phoenix mighty figure. In his heart, there was no such thing as pity for the fairer sex. Mo Ying's expression did not change when she heard the discussion between the heavenly phoenix mighty figure and Xian Shuang. There was no fear in her eyes either. She was the chosen saber attendant of Divine Phoenix Island. Now that the young master was dead, there was no need for her to continue living. Strange. Right then, the Golden Crow second prince opened his eyes and frowned. Araki Takashi is only the Dharma Daojun. Why is the spirit consciousness imprint left on the bronze square tripod so sturdy? Under normal circumstances, as a half-martial ancestor, he could erase the Dharma Daojuan's spirit consciousness with a single thought. However, after an incense stick's time, the spirit consciousness on the bronze square tripod showed no signs of being erased. The Golden Crow third prince laughed. You guys don't know yet, right? Even though the Araki Takashi just now is already buried in the sacred fire mountain, Araki Takashi is still alive. What do you mean? The Golden Crow second prince asked with a frown. Araki Takashi had two true bodies. Just now, the one that died was only one of his true bodies of dragons. The Golden Crow third prince said, in other words, Araki Takashi is not dead yet. How can it be so easy to erase his spirit consciousness? Normally speaking, if a cultivator died and only left a spirit consciousness imprint, it would naturally be much easier to erase it. However, if the cultivator was not dead, it would be much more difficult to erase the spirit consciousness imprint. That's not right either, the Golden Crow second prince shook his head. This bronze square tripod is clearly the Dharma weapon of Araki Takashi's true body of dragons. What does it have to do with that true body? Unless Araki Takashi's true body of dragons is not dead, a thought flashed through the Golden Crow second prince's mind. Immediately after, he dismissed that thought. They had witnessed Araki Takashi falling into the sacred fire mountain and being engulfed by the terrifying lava. How could he still be alive? The Golden Crow second prince laughed self-deprecatingly and lamented to himself, I was overthinking. At that thought, the Golden Crow second prince closed his eyes and continued to channel his spirit consciousness to refine the bronze square tripod. Actually, the Golden Crow second prince's guess was right. Su Zimo was indeed not dead. Not only was he not dead, he was even experiencing the greatest transformation of his body and bloodline ever since he started cultivating in the sacred fire mountain. Chapter 1402. Actually, the moment he sensed the appearance of the two half-martial ancestors, Su Zimo had already made a decision. That was to leap into the sacred fire mountain. Given his current cultivation realm, even if his bloodline was not sealed, he would not be able to defeat the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race. In other words, he had no chance of winning against the two half-martial ancestors of the Golden Crow race. However, if he leaped into the sacred fire mountain, he would be able to fight for a chance of survival. Given the incinerating power of the sacred fire mountain, it could definitely incinerate the power of the Eight Gates Dragon Lock formation into nothingness and release his bloodline. Of course, given the terror of the sacred fire mountain, his body, bloodline, and bones would probably be melted. However, this sort of melting might be an opportunity for the true bodies of the dragons. Back in the Dragon Bone Valley, the Dragon Elder had told him about the Dragon Phoenix. The reason why the true bodies of the dragons could not conjure a complete dragon body was because of the existence of the Divine Phoenix Bone, and their bloodlines could not coexist. However, with the flames of the sacred fire mountain, there was a chance of refining the Divine Phoenix Bone and fusing it with the true bodies of the dragons. Of course, this choice was way too risky. If he succeeded, he would naturally be reborn. However, if he failed, The true bodies of the dragons would be buried in the sacred fire mountain with their bodies and spirits destroyed without a corpse. Given the current situation, Su Zimo had no choice but to give it his all. In order to increase the success rate of the fusion, Su Zimo even threw the bronze square tripod and dragon soul saber on the peak of the mountain and snatched the divine phoenix bone of the heavenly phoenix mighty figure. With 2 divine phoenix bones in hand, Su Zimo leaped into the sacred fire mountain. As he had expected, the lava of the sacred fire mountain was extremely terrifying. Even the bloodline of the true bodies of the dragons could not withstand it and melted before long. Not only that, the 2 divine phoenix bones in his body also began to melt in the lava of the sacred fire mountain. According to normal cultivation, it was extremely difficult for the divine phoenix bone to fuse with the bloodline and body of the true bodies of the dragons. But now, the true bodies of dragons and divine phoenix bones had turned into streams of boiling lava, and the 2 bloodlines fused rapidly, becoming indistinguishable from each other. The Golden Crow Third Prince and the others saw Su Zimo being swallowed by the holy volcano's magma with their own eyes. However, they could not see the strange scene happening below the magma. 3 balls of light revolved slowly, radiating with great power. They formed a barrier of light, isolating the heat from the magma and protecting the red-haired soul in the middle. He had to protect the red-haired essence spirit. If the red-haired Yuan spirit was burned to ashes, it would be useless no matter how much his body and bloodline had changed. However, the lava of the sacred fire mountain was too terrifying. The power emitted by the 3 balls of light was barely enough to hold on. At that moment, the true bodies of the dragons had already disappeared around the scarlet-haired essence spirit, and the 2 divine phoenix bones had already melted. The fusion of the 2, under the refinement of the sacred fire volcano's magma, was giving birth to a brand new bloodline, an even more terrifying power. The scarlet-haired essence spirit sensed something, and the power of his essence spirit surged, breaking through the barrier of the Dharma characteristic realm and entering the conjoint body realm. The fusion of the true bodies of the dragons was not the fusion of heaven and earth Dharma characteristics. Instead, it was the fusion of the dragon and divine phoenix. A brand new body appeared in the boiling lava. Initially, it was only an outline, but as time passed by, it gradually became clearer. If anyone could see below the lava, they would be shocked to discover that the body was not that of a human. It still doesn't work. The Golden Crow Second Prince opened his eyes once more and spat out a mouthful of bad luck. There was already some impatience in his expression. Why don't I give it a try? The Golden Crow Third Prince gloated at the side. Humph. The Golden Crow Second Prince said coldly, I really don't believe it. If I can't refine it in a day, I'll refine it for a year. If I can't do it in a year, I'll refine it for 10 years. On the other side, the Golden Crow Fourth Prince finally suppressed the Dragon Soul Saber. Later on, he was even forced to use the power of divine powers. It's about time. Suddenly, the heavenly phoenix mighty figure said, Emoing, it's time for you to be on your way and accompany that young master of yours. Foo-foo. Emoing laughed. Heavenly Phoenix, you won't have a good ending for plotting against the young master. You'll definitely suffer retribution. Retribution? The heavenly phoenix mighty figure could not help but laugh. Ha! Araki Takashi is already dead. When I return to Divine Phoenix Island, I'll be the young master of Divine Phoenix Island. What retribution? I'm not afraid of it at all. Is that so? Right then, a strange voice sounded from the peak of the mountain, as though it came from below the sacred fire mountain. Everyone was stunned and looked over instinctively. The bottom of the sacred fire mountain was filled with boiling lava. How could there be anyone? Clang, clang, clang. Right then, the sound of metal clashing could be heard from below the sacred fire mountain, as though some sharp weapon was piercing the stone wall. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure's face was pale, and his throat moved as he swallowed his saliva unconsciously. Impossible, impossible. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure shook his head repeatedly with a bewildered expression. However, Emo Ying's eyes were filled with surprise and joy. She could tell that the voice was the young master's. There was no mistake about it. The young master was not dead. Impossible! The Golden Crow Second Prince harumphed coldly and headed towards the entrance of the sacred fire mountain in a flash. The Golden Crow Third Prince, Fourth Prince, Xian Shuang and Heavenly Phoenix mighty figures moved as well. They endured the scorching heat and looked down at the bottom of the sacred fire mountain. Thereafter, they saw a scene that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. In the churning lava, a gigantic living being crawled out slowly. It looked like a dragon and a phoenix with a dragon head and a phoenix tail. It had 5 claws beneath its body. Every single claw was incomparably sharp and shone with a cold glint. At that moment, the living being was climbing on the stone wall of the sacred fire mountain. The claws beneath its abdomen dug into the walls of the sacred fire mountain and pierced holes. There was even a pair of gigantic wings on the back of the living being. They were scarlet like smoke, and the boiling lava dripped from the living being's body without injuring it at all. What was even more terrifying was that the aura emitted by the living being made the 3 princes of the Golden Crow race shudder. It was a suppression of bloodline. Even the Golden Crow race had to lower their heads in front of this living being. What is that? Everyone was stunned on the spot with shocked expressions. It's. The Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure extended his lone arm and seemed to have thought of something. His eyes were filled with fear and his lips trembled. He could not even speak. All of a sudden. Could it be? The Golden Crow Second Prince's heart skipped a beat as he thought of a possibility. Immediately after, the Golden Crow Third Prince and Fourth Prince's faces drained of blood and their bodies trembled slightly. Dragon? Phoenix? The Golden Crow Fourth Prince tried saying. As soon as those 2 words left his mouth, the weather suddenly changed, and the entire world shuddered as if it had sensed fear. One of the 3 primordial taboos, the birth of the dragon phoenix. Chapter 1403. The taboo race was the strongest living being of the primordial era. Even though the Golden Crow race was ranked among the primordial 9 races, they still had an innate fear of the taboo race deep in their memories and bloodline. Su Zimo glared at the Golden Crow Third Prince and the others with a cold gaze. The true bodies of dragons were already a thing of the past. His current physical body was the true body of the dragon and phoenix. Su Zimo had just transformed into a dragon phoenix and was not used to this body yet. Therefore, as he crawled out of the sacred fire mountain, he sensed the difference in his dragon phoenix body. Su Zimo had to admit that at that moment his entire body was filled with immense power. Even every inch of his muscles and fingernails seemed to be able to release terrifying lethality. Everyone watch out! The Golden Crow Second Prince was the first to react. He hollered and swiped his storage bag, taking out a golden badge and tossing it over. The golden badge transformed into a golden beam of light and arrived in the firmaments. It exploded and transformed into the form of a 3-legged golden crow. That was the Golden Crow badge of the Golden Crow race. It would not be released unless it was absolutely necessary. Furthermore, the Golden Crow badge belonged to the Second Prince. From that, it was clear how serious this matter was. Don't panic, the Golden Crow Second Prince said in a deep voice. Even if Araki Takashi transformed into a dragon phoenix, he has only just entered the conjoint body realm. How strong can he be? We just need to delay him for a moment. When the experts of our Golden Crow race arrive, Araki Takashi will definitely die. That's right. The Golden Crow Fourth Prince nodded as well. A taboo is not invincible. Everyone, join forces and kill this taboo while its cultivation realm is unstable. We'll drink its blood and eat its meat. A taboo is filled with treasures. That sentence caused the eyes of Xian Shuang and the 2 conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island to light up. There was nothing that could move their hearts more than this sentence. With their half-martial ancestor cultivation, the Golden Crow Second and Fourth Princes were fearless and wiped away the fear in the hearts of Xian Shuang and the others with a few words. This was Penglai Island after all, Xian Shuang's territory. It was just a taboo. How could it overturn the heavens? Everyone's gazes turned fervent. It was even more so for the Heavenly Phoenix mighty figures. It should have been mine. The fact that Araki Takashi could transform into a dragon phoenix means that my path of cultivation is correct. I can also transform into a phoenix. This thought flashed through the heavenly phoenix Almighty's mind repeatedly. However, he did not know that Suzumo had not only relied on 2 divine phoenix bones to transform into a dragon phoenix. The mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness that he possessed, the mystical abilities that he comprehended, the power of the sacred fire mountain, and even Dai Yu's heaven-defying fate change. Under all sorts of coincidences, Suzumo became a dragon phoenix and descended into the world. Even if a heavenly phoenix mighty figure obtained 2 divine phoenix bones and jumped into the holy volcano, it would be difficult for him to transform into a phoenix. The most likely possibility was that he would be burned to ashes. Only the Golden Crow Third Prince was relatively calm. He had witnessed the battle of Heaven and Earth Valley with his own eyes. He had witnessed how the true bodies of the dragons slaughtered their enemies and how terrifying their combat strength was. But now, the true form of the dragons had transformed into the body of a dragon phoenix. Perhaps even a half-martial ancestor would not be able to suppress it. Everyone, don't hold back. Kill. The Golden Crow Second Prince hollered and reverted to his true form right away. He reared his head and roared into the skies, reaching out with his third leg that burned with raging flames and grabbing towards Suzumo. The Golden Crow Fourth Prince released the strongest attack of the Golden Crow race as well. The third legs of the 2 Golden Crow Princes were not only filled with bloodline and dermic powers, there was also a trace of divine power. At the same time, Xian Shuang and the Heavenly Phoenix mighty figure attacked. The 2 conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island had already attacked as well. The Golden Crow Third Prince hesitated for a moment before releasing a secret skill of the Golden Crow race and descending. Instantly, everyone's attacks poured down like a torrential storm. Suzumo had just crawled out of the sacred fire mountain and looked at the dermic weapons and secret skills in midair with a calm expression. He extended his dragon phoenix claws slowly. Swoosh! A thought flashed through his mind. Suddenly, a terrifying scarlet flame rose from the dragon phoenix claws. Suzumo extended his dragon phoenix claws as well and grabbed towards the third legs of the 2 Golden Crow Third Princes. The remaining 3 legs released a heaven-rending power as well and grabbed towards the dermic weapons and secret skills of the mighty figure Heavenly Phoenix and the others. Bang! Bang! The 2 Golden Crow half-martial ancestors clashed head-on with Suzumo. There was no room for tricks in the head-on clash between the Golden Crow legs and the Dragon Phoenix claws. This was a pure contest of strength. It was a contest of whose claws were sharper and whose flames were stronger. After a momentary stalemate, the 2 Golden Crow half-martial ancestors cried out tragically. Exclamation point! The Dragon Phoenix claws exerted strength and snapped the third legs of the 2 Golden Crow half-martial ancestors, causing their tendons and bones to splatter. The third legs of the 2 Golden Crows were completely crippled. Bang! 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 At the same time, the remaining attacks could not injure Suzumo at all and were blocked by his other Dragon Phoenix claws. A pair of dermic weapons were gripped in the palms of the Dragon Phoenix claws. The pair of dermic weapons were the destiny dermic weapons of the 2 mighty figures of Penglai Island. Suzumo reared his head and roared into the skies. Dermic powers surged from his palms and conjured a raging fire. Under the burning of the flames, the pair of dermic weapons began to transform and melt. Right in front of everyone, the pair of dermic weapons were crushed into scarlet scrap metal by Suzumo. The power of a taboo was impossible to defend against. The essence spirits of the 2 conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island were implicated by the destruction of their destiny dermic weapons and could not help but grunt with pale faces. The Dragon Soul Saber slashed down. Suzumo did not dodge or dodge. His blood chi surged and he merely released the might of the Dragon Phoenix. Instantly, the Dragon Soul Saber bowed and returned to his control. Suzumo did not touch the Dragon Soul Saber and merely moved his spirit consciousness. The Dragon Soul Saber transformed into a streak of light and arrived above the heads of the 2 mighty figures of Penglai Island instantly. It slashed down and released the might of sea calming. The two conjoint body mighty figures felt that their bodies were no longer under their control and they could not move at all. The speed at which the Dragon Soul Saber slashed down was not fast. However, the two of them could only watch helplessly as the Dragon Soul Saber slashed down slowly and split their heads into two. Their essence spirits could not escape. Two conjoint body mighty figures died on the spot. Retreat! The Golden Crow Second Prince endured the pain and hollered. The golden wings behind him flapped, and he transformed into a golden beam of light that fled towards the habitat of the Golden Crow race. There was no need for his reminder. The Golden Crow Third and Fourth Princes had already moved. Mighty figure Mystic Frost fled towards the inner island. The mighty figure of the Heavenly Phoenix fled outside the island. The Golden Crow race was ranked at the top of the Primordial 9 races in terms of speed and was not inferior to the Rakshasa race. The Golden Crow Second Prince believed that their combat strength was not a match for Su Zimo. However, given their cultivation as half-martial ancestors, Su Zimo would definitely not be able to catch up to them if they fled with all their might. Under normal circumstances, he was not wrong. Even if the true bodies of dragons were at the conjoint body realm, they might not be able to catch up to their speed. However, at that moment, Su Zimo was a taboo dragon phoenix. The dragon phoenix had a pair of gigantic wings as well. Chapter 1404. Su Zimo had just transformed into a dragon phoenix and was not completely familiar with the power of his body. Although he had a pair of gigantic wings behind him, he had not used them just now when he was fighting against everyone. At that moment, Su Zimo was anxious when he saw the three princes of the Golden Crow race fleeing far away and the mighty figure of the Heavenly Phoenix, Xian Shuang, and the others fleeing in all directions. He channeled his bloodline and the wings on his back spread open. Swoosh! This pair of wings was burning with raging flames. Every single feather was scarlet and crystalline, shimmering with a divine light without any impurities. Su Zimo attempted to activate the pair of wings. The massive wings flapped and a powerful force burst forth. Su Zimo's figure transformed into a scarlet beam of light and chased after the three princes of the Golden Crow race. He had to kill the three princes of the Golden Crow race as soon as possible. Just now, Su Zimo noticed the Golden Crow badge released by the second prince of the Golden Crow race as well. He believed that it wouldn't be long before the Golden Crow army and even experts of the Golden Crow race arrived. It would be fine if they were only half-martial ancestors. However, if the patriarch of the Golden Crow race was alarmed, Su Zimo would most likely be doomed even if he had transformed into a dragon phoenix. The patriarch had already entered the Mahayana realm and comprehended true divine powers. That power had completely surpassed the conjoint body realm. One could sense the massive difference just by looking at the increase in lifespan. Conjoint body mighty figures of the human race had a lifespan of 20,000 years. However, after entering the Mahayana realm, their lifespan increased exponentially to 100,000 years. The three princes of the Golden Crow race ran. However, within a few breaths, the three princes felt a scorching heat wave approaching them rapidly from behind with an extremely terrifying killing intent. The second prince of the Golden Crow turned back. That single glance almost scared him out of his wits. Not far behind the three of them, the terrifying figure of the Dragon Phoenix was closing in rapidly. Flapping his wings, he was clearly much faster than them. The Golden Crow race had the best movement techniques among the Primordial 9 races. However, compared to the Dragon Phoenix in the taboo, there was a huge difference. Among the three princes, the Golden Crow Third Prince had the lowest cultivation level and the slowest movement speed. Su Zimo was the first to catch up to the Golden Crow Third Prince. He didn't stop or slow down at all. He only stretched out his dragon and phoenix claws and grabbed the Golden Crow Third Prince's head. The 5 dragon and phoenix claws had sealed off all of the Golden Crow Third Prince's escape routes. Poochie! The Golden Crow Third Prince could not dodge and his head was crushed by the Dragon Phoenix's claw. His essence spirit was destroyed and he died on the spot. 3 breaths later, Su Zimo caught up to the Golden Crow's second and fourth princes again. He flapped his wings and shot out two blazing flame barriers, blocking the two princes' path. "Araki Takashi, this is Panglai Island." Seeing that he could not escape, the Golden Crow second prince could not help but turn around and shout, "I've already sent out my Golden Crow token. In a moment, my Golden Crow patriarch will descend. If you dare to hurt me, you won't be able to leave Panglai Island either, Araki Takashi." The Golden Crow fourth prince also shouted fiercely, "Araki Takashi, leave now and you might still have a chance to escape. If you continue to stay here, you'll die." The two princes were extremely smart. If the two of them could scare Suzumo away with their words, that would be for the best. Even if they failed, they would definitely be able to intimidate Suzumo and delay him for a long time. However, it was a pity that they were facing the decisive Suzumo. "How dare you threaten me? I'll kill you guys." Suzumo's voice was cold and he did not have any qualms at all. He had long been at odds with the Golden Crow race. Putting aside the fact that many Golden Crows died in his hands in the Battle of Heaven and Earth Valley, the Golden Crow race would not let him live just because he was a taboo dragon phoenix. Suzumo swooped down and two bedazzling flames burst forth from his eyes. After entering the conjoint body realm and transforming into a dragon phoenix, the power of the illumination eye became even more terrifying. The two half-martial ancestors dodged with all their might, but their bodies were still scraped by the illumination eye. The wound instantly turned into a pile of ashes. Suzumo swooped down and extended his sharp dragon phoenix claws towards the Golden Crow second prince. At the same time, he opened his mouth and bit towards the Golden Crow fourth prince on the other side. His claws and fangs arrived. The two princes fought Suzumo in melee combat. Exclamation point! Exclamation point! In just 2 to 3 breaths, the Golden Crow second prince's body was shattered by the Dragon Phoenix's claws and his essence spirit was burned to ashes by the flames on the Dragon Phoenix's body. On the other side, the Dragon Phoenix had bitten the Golden Crow fourth prince's neck and directly bit off his throat. After a few consecutive bites, the Golden Crow fourth prince's head was crushed and his essence spirit was devoured by Suzumo along with his blood. After killing the three princes, Suzumo turned around and looked at Xian Shuang, who was escaping towards the inner island. The young master of Panglai Island, Xian Shuang, played a crucial role in his arrival at Panglai Island. This person could not be left alive either. Suzumo flapped his wings and flames surged into the skies. Wherever he passed, the white clouds in the firmaments were burned red. No matter how fast Xian Shuang was, there was no way he could compare to the Golden Crow race. After Suzumo killed the three princes, he turned around and chased after Xian Shuang. At the same time, Xian Shuang had just run down the holy volcano and arrived at the foot of the mountain. Cultivators of Panglai Island, listen up. An enemy is invading. Come and save me. Xian Shuang could not care less about his dignity and roared hysterically. This roar alarmed the numerous experts on the island. Figures soared into the skies one after another and rushed over. Who is it? How dare you kill on Panglai Island? This, heavens, what's that? The dozens of figures that rushed over immediately were all conjoint body mighty figures of Panglai Island. Xian Shuang was not happy at all when he saw the conjoint body mighty figures. Instead, he was even more anxious and hollered, "Hurry back! Hurry back and ask the patriarch to come out." Right then, Suzumo stood in midair and flapped his wings. Facing the many conjoint body mighty figures not far away, he suddenly opened his mouth. Swoosh! Suzumo spat out an incomparably scorching scarlet flame that contained an extremely terrifying power, as though it could burn everything in the world to ashes. Even the void began to crack under the burning of the flames. The terrifying flames poured down and enveloped the dozens of mighty figures of Panglai Island instantly. Even Xian Shuang was not spared. This was the innate divine power that Suzumo comprehended after he entered the conjoint body realm and transformed into the Dragon Phoenix. It was an innate divine power that belonged to the Dragon Phoenix. Flames of the Dragon Phoenix. A series of tragic cries could be heard from the crowd. Even conjoint body mighty figures could not break free from the sea of flames of the dragon phoenix. In just more than 10 breaths, many mighty figures of Penglai Island were burned into ashes without any corpses left. Chapter 1405. Su Zimo released the dragon phoenix flames and burned all the conjoint body mighty figures of Penglai Island in front of him to ashes. Xian Shuang's pupils constricted when she saw that. Su Zimo's figure flashed and a scarlet beam of light closed in. Under the pressure of the dragon phoenix's terrifying aura, Xian Shuang no longer had any thoughts of resisting. Her head was penetrated by Su Zimo's dragon phoenix claw and her essence spirit was destroyed. The young master of Penglai Island was dead. After killing everyone, Su Zimo swept his gaze to the foot of the mountain. Not far away, there were some corpses of cultivators, Jing Ming, Jing Sheng and the others who followed them here. Those people were initially under the orders of a mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix. However, in order not to leak what happened today, the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix took the initiative to kill the cultivators of divine Phoenix Island. Su Zimo spread his wings and flew back to the peak of the sacred fire mountain. At that moment, there was no need for him to hide his tracks. With such a huge commotion on the sacred fire mountain, his main body had already been seen by many cultivators of Penglai Island. It was impossible for him to kill everyone. At that moment, no half-martial ancestor appeared. If a half-martial ancestor appeared, the patriarch of Penglai Island or the patriarch of the Golden Crow race descended, he would most likely be doomed. He had to leave the island as soon as possible. Su Zimo returned to the peak of the sacred fire mountain because he was still concerned about Mo Ying. Since Mo Ying had followed him here, he had to bring her back alive. Young master? When she saw Su Zimo in his current form, Mo Ying was still a little doubtful and tried calling out. "It's me," Su Zimo said in a deep voice. "We can't stay here for long. Leave with me." Mo Ying was severely injured and Su Zimo tossed her onto his back. Flapping his wings, he soared into the skies and sped into the distance with a streak of fiery light. At the same time, Su Zimo released his massive spirit consciousness and searched the surface of the sea. After entering the conjoint body realm, Su Zimo's spirit consciousness expanded to an extremely shocking range. Not long after, he saw a figure running away in a panic. A mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix. Su Zimo's expression was ice cold. The heavenly phoenix mighty figure had set a trap and wanted to kill him. He had to kill this person. The speed of the dragon phoenix body was too fast. Even the half-martial ancestor of the Golden Crow race could not match up to Su Zimo in speed, let alone a conjoint body mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix race. In just a dozen breaths of time, a large scarlet cloud enveloped the heavenly phoenix almighty's head. Sensing danger, the mighty figure of the heavenly phoenix looked up instinctively and caught sight of Su Zimo flapping his wings through the clouds. Su Zimo's entire body was burning with raging flames, but his gaze was as cold as ice. The heavenly phoenix almighty felt his scalp tingle. When he met Su Zimo's gaze, his legs went soft. Although he possessed the divine phoenix bloodline, he still had to bow down in front of the dragon phoenix. "Heavenly phoenix, you can't escape." Su Zimo's voice could be heard slowly, and it was bone-chilling. "Haha." Seeing that he could not escape, the heavenly phoenix mighty figure gave up. He paused and reared his head in laughter. "It's nothing more than my bad luck. This time round, if I obtain the divine phoenix bone, I'll have a chance to transform into a phoenix. Right now, you, Araki Takashi, will be the one fleeing for your life." The heavenly phoenix mighty figure was unwilling to be captured. He reared his head and roared. His essence spirit, blood chi and dermic powers were pushed to their limits as he charged toward Su Zimo. Su Zimo had a fearless expression as he swooped down like a gigantic fireball. Boom! There was a deafening sound. Flames splattered everywhere. In that brief pause, the heavenly phoenix mighty figure was devoured by the gigantic fireball and his essence spirit was destroyed. Su Zimo's figure reappeared. After calming himself down, he continued speeding towards divine Phoenix Island. Before he could escape far, Su Zimo suddenly felt his heart skip a beat. It was as though he was targeted by an extremely terrifying existence and a calamity could befall him at any moment. He had entered the conjoint body realm and was able to grow into a dragon phoenix with shocking combat strength. There were not many people in Tianhuang mainland who could threaten him. There was only a single possibility for him to sense danger: a Mahayana patriarch. However, he did not know if it was the patriarch of Penglai Island or the patriarch of the Golden Crow race. All of a sudden, a sense of danger flashed in Su Zimo's heart. His figure did not stop, and he subconsciously raised his head to look. The skies suddenly darkened. Above his head, there was a huge black cloud circling around. It was like ink rolling and surging violently. Gradually, the gigantic cloud began to spin, forming a gigantic vortex. At the very center of the whirlpool, there was a strange power. Su Zimo glared at the center of the vortex with a grim expression. All of a sudden, a divine light burst forth from the center of the vortex. Thankfully, Su Zimo had fused the illumination stone into his eyes. Otherwise, that divine light would have been enough to blind him. Pissed. When he caught sight of the center of the vortex, Su Zimo could not help but gasp. In the center of the black cloud vortex was a gigantic eye. At that moment, the eye was glaring at Su Zimo with a sinister killing intent. It was as though Su Zimo could not escape the detection of that eye no matter where he escaped. Su Zimo went on a massacre on Penglai Island and killed the young master of Penglai Island as well as many conjoint body mighty figures. Finally, a Mahayana patriarch was alarmed. If he was not wrong, this should be the patriarch of Penglai Island. If it was the patriarch of the Golden Crow race, the aura he emitted should be different. Suddenly, the eye blinked. An extremely terrifying power enveloped down and the flames on Su Zimo's body were almost extinguished. His bones creaked as though they were about to fall apart. That was the power of a Mahayana patriarch. The patriarch's true body did not even appear. He merely revealed an eye, and yet, he could release a power that could kill a conjoint body dragon phoenix. Against that tremendous pressure, Su Zimo's movement technique's speed decreased significantly. It was impossible for him to escape. Su Zimo narrowed his eyes and channeled his essence spirit. With a thought, he conjured a dermic art. All of a sudden, on his back, on top of the crimson wings, another pair of even larger wings grew out. The pair of wings was golden in color and shone with a resplendent light. It was beautiful and flawless. Even the Golden Crow clan's wings were at a disadvantage in front of this pair of wings. Su Zimo gave a long howl. The pair of golden wings flapped. They were filled with the power of divine powers. Su Zimo's figure transformed into a golden beam of light and vanished from the spot instantly. He even escaped from the gigantic eye's vision and fled into the distance. That burst of speed was way too fast. A hint of shock flashed through the gigantic eye, as though it was in disbelief. This was another innate divine power that Su Zimo comprehended after advancing to the conjoint body realm. It was also an innate divine power of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness. It was an extreme speed divine power from the golden winged rock. That pair of golden wings was the wings of the golden winged rock. Chapter 1406. After advancing to the Dharma characteristic realm, 4 balls of light appeared in Su Zimo's consciousness. The first ball of light contained a divine power that came from the spirit turtle shield of the sea calming turtle. It had the strongest defense, and even when Su Zimo was at the Dharma characteristic realm, he managed to block the attack of a half-martial ancestor without dying. At the foot of the sacred fire mountain, when Su Zimo advanced to the conjoint body realm, the second ball of light in his mind shattered and a golden winged rock appeared, streaking across his consciousness, leaving behind perfect scars. It was the second of the 4 divine powers of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness, extreme speed. This divine power originated from the Golden Winged Rock King. Among the demons, the Golden Winged Rock was the fastest. Once he released this divine power, a pair of golden wings would grow on Su Zimo's back. With a flap of his wings, he could travel 5,000 kilometers in the blink of an eye. Damn it! The enormous eye in the sky flickered with flames of fury. Its voice rumbled like thunder and spread throughout the entire ocean, shocking the entire ocean to the point that it fell silent. The black clouds surged and condensed into a figure. It was an old man in black robes with a grayish-white beard and hair. His eyes were unusually large and bulged slightly. He looked extremely frightening. Patriarch Black Cloud of Penglai Island. Patriarch Black Cloud's eyes darted around, searching for Su Zimo's whereabouts. However, Su Zimo had already escaped 5,000 kilometers away after releasing his extreme speed divine power and was beyond Patriarch Black Cloud's vision. I don't believe that you can escape from me despite the billions of kilometers between the East and South Seas. Patriarch Black Cloud harumphed coldly, and his glabella shone as he channeled his massive spirit consciousness to envelop the East Sea. The range of a Mahayana Patriarch's spirit consciousness was at least 50,000 kilometers. Within 50,000 kilometers, every single action of a living being could not escape the senses of a Mahayana Patriarch. That was a rather terrifying ability. Patriarch Black Cloud's spirit consciousness descended, and before long, he discovered a speeding golden beam of light thousands of kilometers away. It was Su Zimo. In this short period of time, Su Zimo had already fled 50,000 miles away. Araki Takashi, you can't escape. Ancestor Black Cloud murmured. However, this voice traveled thousands of miles and entered Su Zimo's ears clearly. It was as if Ancestor Black Cloud was murmuring beside him. Su Zimo's heart trembled. Just the extreme speed divine ability was not enough. The dragon and phoenix wings on Su Zimo's back flapped at the same time. Originally, Su Zimo's figure was only a ray of golden light. However, there was now a hint of red on top of the golden light. Su Zimo's speed rose again. Ancestor Black Cloud was running at full speed when he suddenly realized that Su Zimo's speed had increased by a lot. The distance between the two of them was getting further and further. Before long, Su Zimo's figure had already completely vanished from the range of his divine sense. This meant that a conjoint body mighty figure had escaped from his pursuit. Ancestor Black Cloud paused in his tracks with a terrible expression. Given Araki Takashi's speed, even if he continued chasing, he would not be able to catch up, and it would be futile. A conjoint body mighty figure escaped. Ancestor Black Cloud was frustrated. Right then, his expression changed as though he sensed something. Instinctively, he raised his head and a look of fear flashed through his eyes. Thereafter, he sneered, "Araki Takashi, you won't be able to escape in the end." On the surface of the sea, Su Zimo sprinted the entire way without daring to relax. He had already left the Patriarch of Giant Eyes far behind him. However, for some reason, the sense of danger in his heart did not disappear. Before long, Su Zimo felt a sense of danger. A terrifying aura suddenly descended upon them. That might was even stronger than the might of Patriarch Giant Eyes just now. Another Patriarch had appeared. Su Zimo was secretly alarmed. What worried him was that he was still caught up by the Mahayana Patriarch even though he had already released his extreme speed divine powers and dragon phoenix wings. This meant that the Patriarch was even faster than him. If he was not wrong, the one chasing after him should be the Patriarch of the Golden Crow race. Only the Golden Crow race could possess such speed. Immediately after, a scorching aura descended from the skies and enveloped Su Zimo. Before it arrived, the surrounding space was already burned into cracks. Su Zimo did not look up. He no longer had the mood and energy to do so. He could only channel his bloodline and divine powers furiously while flapping his dragon phoenix wings to dodge to the other side. Shing! The moment Su Zimo dodged, a gigantic golden claw descended beside him. It was sharp and shone with a cold glint, shattering the void. Su Zimo did not dare to linger and continued fleeing. On his back, Mo Ying's eyes widened as he looked up. In the skies above, a gigantic figure could be vaguely seen flapping its wings and flying with a golden light on its body. All of a sudden, the clouds parted and a huge golden claw descended, grabbing towards their position. Its speed was astonishing, and it reached them in an instant. Mo Ying could clearly see it, but his mind could not react at all. Su Zimo did not look. However, as though he had sensed the danger in advance, he twisted his body and dodged to the other side. Shing! The gigantic claw brushed past Su Zimo's dragon phoenix body in an extremely dangerous manner. The gigantic claw retracted into the clouds and disappeared. It was only at this moment that Mo Ying reacted. All of a sudden, the gigantic claw extended once more and grabbed toward Su Zimo. This time round, it was even faster. Su Zimo dodged once more. Exclamation point! This time round he was half a beat slower and was scratched by the fingertip of the gigantic claw. Instantly, a wound that was more than 100 feet long appeared on his wings with blood dripping. Dozens of scarlet feathers fell into the East Ocean. Su Zimo did not say anything and continued to flap his wings. "Young master, abandon me and escape by yourself." When Mo Ying saw that, he could not help but say anxiously. Su Zimo remained silent and continued to flee with all his might. Foo-foo! A cold laugh sounded from the skies that was filled with mockery. The patriarch of the Golden Crow race in the clouds seemed to be toying with Su Zimo as he grabbed at him time and time again. The wounds on Su Zimo's body increased. Even though he had the body of a dragon phoenix and had a strong self-healing ability, he still could not recover after suffering so many injuries and running for his life. Su Zimo's stamina was getting weaker. In fact, he even felt waves of dizziness and his vision turned blurry. All of a sudden, in front of him, between the sea and sky, there was a small boat under the floating clouds. Compared to the massive ocean, the boat was as tiny as a drop of seawater and could not even compare to a single scale on Su Zimo's body. However, when he saw the boat, Su Zimo was invigorated. There was a figure lying lazily on the small boat. He was wearing a green raincoat and a green bamboo hat on his face. Fishing nets were scattered around his feet. This figure allowed the boat to drift aimlessly in the sea without paying any attention to it. He seemed to be leisurely and contented. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.